Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races, such as the Daytona 24, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR schedule, such as the Daytona 500. We have events from disciplines all across the racing world, from the Indianapolis 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events utilize iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against every driver taking part. And as every race progresses, watch and feel the track change with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
After 2 hours of racing from the Premier Endurance League from Bathurst, we step from what is known as a street circuit, but a lot of us don't really think of it that way, into one of the toughest challenges in Australian motorsport. This is Adelaide, and the Limited Series got to have a crack at this place a couple weeks ago. Different format for this round means it's the first time we'll be tackling things in a new format in a long time for the Premier Endurance League, but the generic flow of the place is just about the same. GT3 racing, instead of it being 2 hours worth of endurance racing, it's 2 one-hour sprints. Qualifying underway at the moment in the background, ladies and gentlemen, from the streets of Adelaide, the BP Ultimate Bridge on the run down to turn number 1, Reese. And this place, well, there's no getting away from the chaos.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, yeah, no wonder it's 2 one-hour sprints here, because I think an endurance race around here, a single 2 hour, would be very taxing on everybody. But I'm looking forward to seeing how things go here for the first of our races, which will be coming up shortly. That's the format there. Pretty simple. It's just 2 one-hour races with a progressive grid, a 65% fuel tank restriction, and there will be a pit stop in both races for fuel as a result. And that's basically all you need to know format-wise. Let's see who gets the strategy down, but still a couple of minutes left in qualifying to see who grabs pole position.
Yeah, Damon Woods did get it done back in round 1 at Bathurst. It was a little bit of a tyre strategy play there. Had to pass teammate in Zach Rattray White. But the circuit, you guys at home, any of the Australian audience should know this place like the back of your hand, or at least you know it right now, because this place, it's set to change with that announcement that's come recently about MotoGP racing, and that one always going to cause controversy. What will we see when MotoGP takes to the streets of Adelaide for the first time? In the meantime, the track looks like this. It's looked a little bit different in years gone by, Reese, but I won't talk about the track stuff. I feel like this is the perfect place for a track guide from Reese Gardner.
Yeah, for sure. Adelaide is classic. You know, the layout in specific that we're running dating from 1999, the Brock Straight between turns 7 and 8, the quote-unquote newest section of the track. The F1 version of the layout used to go on after turn 7 and rejoin the track at around turn 8, a much longer layout there. But this layout that we see now, perfect for the kind of racing we see around here today. You start off with that very open center chicane, and I think the slowdowns are going to be a massive point of contention there. You have to have half your car on the racetrack or over the curb in order to not trigger a slowdown there. There's going to be a lot of people suffering from that. The staircase through 4, 5, 6, and 7, just right angle corners. It's all about mechanical grip and being precise with your steering. Turn 8's all about bravery. It's flat out in GT3 cars. And then the Dequetteville hairpin at turn 9, wide entry, narrow exit as you come back into the Victoria Park racecourse to end the lap in the purpose-built section. Another great overtaking opportunity at turn 14. It's a wonderful circuit, one we love very much.
Yeah, because it creates such dramatic moments. This could be witnessed in the finals series from Supercars last year. GT3 hardware, a little bit more downforce, a little bit less in terms of the acceleration and the top speed. It's all about maximizing those grip. Will the tyres start to cook? That is a big question we're going to have to answer across the duration here tonight. But car balance is such a big one. Riding curbs, suspension settings, that will be key to getting the job done around here. Qualifying is now in the books, ladies and gentlemen. And we can tell you that it's not going to be Damon Woods off of pole position. It's going to be a Lamborghini that takes pole instead of the Aston Martin in the red and white. And that is going to change things up as we'll get the grid up for you in just a few moments. But the Adelaide Parklands, this is a picturesque site right in the heart of Adelaide City. And for Jet Saragi, for Team's Max Boost, he's been able to walk this Lamborghini onto the front row. He'll line up alongside of Damon Woods in the number 1 entry for Motorsport Simworld. Off of row number 2, we're going to walk our way back through the field here. It's going to be Aiden Rankin, definitely the quickest of the Rankins associated with tonight's broadcast, that much for sure. There's no way I'm putting a lap time down of that level of speed in the 371 entry. Zach Rattray White on the second row, and on the outside of the second row in his Aston Martin. Alan Dawson for Riot Sim Racing has put a stonker of a lap together to go into P5 of the Riot Sim Racing Porsche. Lewis Greathead and the Vermilion Esports Mercedes will line up alongside of him on row 3. Row number 4, we'll get back to 7th spot, is going to be Dylan Shepherd in the Audi and the new liveries for One Performance Racing, debuting at the OSR Bathurst 12 hour, alongside of Owen Coleman in the Veolia Racing number 97. Back onto row number 5, and the last row inside the top 10 race is going to be Byron Pierce, also in the Eclipse Sim Sports 560 entry, and Dean Mackay, listed as TriStar Racing, but Dean Mackay's been on the move. That'll be an OPR car in the near future.
Yeah, certainly will. Coming outside the top 10, we got Kurt Chapman for Revolution E-Racing starting alongside Clint Smith in the McLaren. We have Marino Morella, who was very strong at Bathurst for Eclipse Sim Sports, starting alongside Sam Sutton in another Aston Martin. A lot of Aston Martins in this field. They were selected when the car was a little more favoured by the balance of performance. Eli Donaldson in the Vermilion Porsche has 15th place. Got Kobe Marshall alongside him in 16th. Sam Chapman has got 17th spot, starting alongside Isaac Curtis in car 911, although driving an Aston. Stuart Ellis in the Mercedes for One Performance Racing has got Lachlan Capel for company to round out the first 10 rows of the grid.
Yeah, outside the first 10 is going to be Connor Nixon on 21st spot, just under a second back from the lead. Trent Stapleton for the ProDrive Racing entry will be alongside of him. Trent Allen in the ART Revolution E-Racing car alongside of Harry Dodds makes up the Project 36 entry. And it was good, actually. I got a message from Harry a little bit earlier on. Good to see him participating in this one. Just under a second back from our race lead. Back to row 13, and it's going to be Jack Bird, who also gets in underneath that second mark. Also on board the Aston Martin for Motorsport Simworld, alongside of Corey Bennett and the Azure Autosports, just over that second marker back. He'll be one of the Acuras that takes part in the field in car number 33. One row further back into the 14th row of the grid, Benjamin Wilder, another of the Motorsport Simworld entries, Stephen Tonkin will line up alongside of him, and 30 cars before we even get towards the tail end of the field. By the way, there's still more to come. Patrick Reardon from Jack Stone. Think about this heading into turn 1 as we get outside the 30 here, Reese.
We do indeed. Reese Wakefield in 31st place, and he was a front runner at Bathurst, so it's very surprising to see him that far back, starting alongside Ryan Bell. Jaden Green is the last car to set a time in qualifying. The safety car is going to split Ben Jeffrey there in 35th place. Adam Jepson also in an Aston Martin GT4, which is the race control car for this series. So
I think he stuffed that up. He's actually gridded on board that GT4 car, by the way. I think Adam Jepson's just realizing he's in the wrong car.
Yeah, he's going to get a nasty surprise coming off the line, isn't he?
Oh no!
Oh dear.
Someone might want to get. I've done this before. For anyone who's watching along at home and sitting down and go, wait, how can you do that? Well, the thing for Adam Jepson is he went to register an Aston Martin. Aston Martin Vantage GT3 is what the car's called in iRacing, and then there's the Aston Martin GT4. And I think, yeah, he's about to get a rude shock. I've done it before, by the way. I was running some supercars racing a while back, and the pace car for that series was the Ford Mustang GT3, which is very, very close to Gen 3 Ford Mustang. Yeah, so he's not alone. Everyone's certainly done it at different points throughout their career. It's one of those things you make the mistake once, and then you never do it again because you look every time thereafter.
Absolutely, you do. Well, it's a long, long line of cars ahead of Adam Jepson here. Just about 20-something seconds left on the grid timer. And it is going to be a rolling start, so things should be reasonably orderly, at least until they get to the apex of turn 1. I'm fully expecting a lot of drivers to be running deep over the curbs at that first chicane and triggering a ton of slowdowns. But I've been surprised in the past. Let's see what turns up.
Still waiting on a couple of cars to finish the gridding formation, then we'll be off on this first lap. I'm really, really curious what's going to come out of Jet Saragi off of P1. There's an opportunity here. The Lamborghini will fire its tyres up rather quickly, but at the moment, in terms of the two cars that are exceptionally close together, is the Lamborghini and the Audi. Remember, the platform's just about identical between those two cars. Same engine, at least for now. In the coming months, how long do you reckon race is going to be before we get the Tamario on Iris? I don't feel like it'll be all that long.
Yeah, I certainly hope not. I mean, the iRacing curse is called that for a reason. There is a non-zero chance that it'll end up coming to iRacing with the car in the real world only having a season or so left, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. I certainly do hope that we get the new Lamborghini very soon. The Zoom wall, meanwhile, we got Corey Bennett in the top left, Zach Rattray White top right, bottom left Harry Dodds, and bottom right Damon Woods, who is starting in P2 at the moment, but coming off this the first round of the championship back in February as the initial winner of the season. We'll be checking in with those guys over the course of the race, and we're getting a slow motion tour here through this staircase section. The walls are incredibly close on the exit. Didn't used to be that way, but in recent years the walls have been brought closer in to those exit curbs, which really tightens things up on the exit.
Yeah, a lot of risk, a lot of reward as well. The big thing is, when they talk in terms of supercars, the supercars coming to this place is the kink at turn 8. There's priority rules, and the reason for that is safety. Driver safety has to be accounted for. Well, sim racing, your risks are about the only thing that are vulnerable, unless you're in a simulation rig, and we saw from everybody on that driving wall, they're not in motion sims at all, so there'll be no getting bucked and thrown out of the seat. Do you have to bolt yourself down into the chair if you're in one of those? But that wall that we're sitting on board at the moment, we saw last year a couple of those panels being moved back with big accidents that went down along that way, but that won't be happening in the sim. Barriers are removable objects. This is the little intricacies, but we get through this next kink down at turn 11. This is the riskiest one for me on the track, because the tyre barrier at turn 11 is going to be something I think we'll be talking about. I don't see us getting away without one car jagging into that thing, and it is actually savage in the sim race.
Yeah, certainly is. Many drivers have fallen victim to it, as with the curb at the apex of turn 11. It's quite a high curb, and I think drivers will be spat out into that tyre barrier as a result. But through the final corner, we're about to get the green.
Yeah, and Jet has gone very, very early. Did not wait for that one. And the benefit for Aiden Rankin is that he's been given a little bit of a letdown on when they can actually get away. Got a great launch on board car 371 as they bounce their way through the chicane on lap 1 tonight. Who's going to come a cropper as they bounce up and over the curves down through turn 3 and the run to turn 4. The staircase for the first time. Coleman will look to slot himself in. Around the outside goes Dylan Shepherd looking for a spot. Nothing doing at this opportunity. There's the new Logitech G Orbit Drop Bear Motorsports cars as well. Back in 20th spot. Elbows out. Connor Nixon's the Mercedes that's just in behind. And everyone's going to be having a crack at the moment. It's lap 1. It's the biggest opportunity. Tyres are cold, Reese. Who's going to make the first mistake?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Turn 8's coming up here, and while it is flat out when the tyres are up to temp, it might not be when the tyres are cold. Moves being made here for Aiden Rankin here. He's about to get past there by Zach Rattray White in the Aston. Nice move at the Duquetteville hairpin. Not much response from Rankin in the Lamborghini there. And then just avoiding the curb at turn 11, almost brushing the tyre barrier with Zach Rattray White, as now he will give chase to Damon Woods to try and take second place. But Jet Saragi's had a fantastic first lap, leading by about a second for the moment.
Yeah, big dive bomb though for Dylan Shepherd, trying to get down into the last corner. He's looking to the inside of Alan Dawson. Someone's going to have to yield. You cannot go through the chicane at turn 1 and turn 2, and it's going to be Shepherd who yields. Backs out, tries to slot in, tries to build a run on the run down through 3. All the way up to turn 4, lap number 2 of the night. First 1 hour worth of racing. Shepherd back to the inside, late on the brakes. Can he park it? He can. Dawson swings back through. That'll put him on the outside. Damon Woods has managed to throw a move at Saragi, and now it's all the way out and onto the exit curve as well for Dawson. Great Head's looking for an opportunity, so it's all been on. It's this spot back here, 6th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and now it's going to be for Lewis Greathead, hopefully the run off the outside. Mercedes versus Porsche. Who's got the legs?
Oh, looks like the Mercedes for the moment, but it's going to be tight through turn 8. Just enough room being given, and how did they get through that? I will never know. Opens up an opportunity behind for Byron Pierce, who gets his Aston up the inside of Owen Coleman. They're briefly 3 wide there as Dean Mackay gets in on the action too.
Yeah, now it's down to turn 11, going side by side. This is probably the most treacherous place, but room's being given by Mackay to the outside. Byron Pierce will do what he can. Kurt Chapman's going to line up and have a go at these guys as well. All inside the top 10. Greathead and Dawson are still going toe-to-toe at this point in time. Greathead finally gets the move done. Here comes Coleman. He'll look for the crisscross. Tried to get the power from the Mustang down. Couldn't quite do it. This is what caused the change in the lead. That was enough of a curb strike for Saragi to be forced to a slowdown penalty, and he had to yield.
Yeah, Damon Woods right there to take advantage, but Jet Saragi wasted no time in getting back past Damon Woods for the lead of the races. My goodness, it's all still going on here. Oh, wow. That is the Aston there, trying its best to keep itself in the fight there. Byron Pierce under a real attack there from Owen Coleman and Dean Mackay. All of this is benefiting Clint Smith behind in the McLaren as well. He's going to drag Kurt Chapman, Eli Donaldson, Sam Sutton and company along. There's side-by-side going on all the way back. Our top 3 are together, all separated by less than a second, but there's a crash in the back. Oh, looks like Lachlan Capel, Kobe Marshall actually is the one around there.
Yeah, and I think you might have been in contact with one of those Logitech G Orbit drop bear cars. But either way, there's a car being spun around. I haven't heard a call to race control at this point in time. Here they go, 3 wide down into Duquetteville once more. Still looking 3 wide. The blue Acura trying to get down the inside. The 33 machine will look for an opportunity to slice and dice his way through. It is just about nose to tail, bumper to bumper. The only difference between this and a traffic jam is, well, this road, this roll, and this show, it just keeps on rolling.
And it will keep rolling for another 56 minutes or so. The fastest lap going to Jet Saragi, who has clear air out in front, 118.1. That is solid there. Only a few tenths off qualifying pace already. Fantastic stuff. But we'll need to wait and see how much that pace can be continued here, as this is the contact between Kobe Marshall and Lachlan Capel. You could argue that Capel was squeezed ever so slightly. There wasn't really much he could do in that circumstance, but regardless, there's still something to work from, as Harry Dodds in the Mustang is the next car to come up on issues. He was briefly stopped on the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, and now he's back with Benjamin Wilder and Jack Bird back there at the moment. Bird's just going to get rotated. Oh, no! He's going to go around. I think it was Wakefield he got rotated off the nose of as well. And there was tight squeezing, and you could just see the patience was starting to wear thin. Dodds is going to call into race control for something that happened to him. That'll be a replay for something to be looked at. Wakefield's also been implicated. There was an incident, racing incident for car 8, contact at turn 3. That was the one up and over the curb, so that'll be Capel that was involved in that one. There's been a bigger incident. Harry Dodds has gone around, live pictures at this point in time. Hard in the barrier, safety car's coming. Contact with one of the Logitech Orbit drop air cars. And again, this is just Adelaide, isn't it? It's you know, it's open season because everyone wants, guys have made mistakes in qualifying. They want to get the elbows out, they want to get racing, but it takes that measured level of aggression. There's the car going around off the nose. Again, same thing as what we saw last lap. Squeezed onto the curb and spun off the nose.
Yeah, Reese Wakefield ended up rolling backwards into the runoff area. As a result of that, we're going to stay with this replay and see what ended up happening to Harry Dodds. On the way through turn 8 for the Mustang, it's just ahead, and oh my goodness, trying to take avoiding action, but ultimately nothing could be done there. Looked like Harry Dodds with trouble off of turn 8 there. Contact with another car for sure. But looks like the safety car has not been called yet by race control. They're still at racing speed.
Yeah, they are for now. And basically the reason for that, Harry Dodds had massive damage to the left rear corner of that car. Car's driving down through that section at racing speed at the moment, so we'll just have to sit and wait. And confirmation, I can tell you, Ben Jeffrey, sorry, it was Adam Jepson, who's now jumped to pit lane. I think he might be done for the evening after finally recognising that the GT4 just does not have the horses of the GT3 entry. In the meantime, 73, keep an eye on Stuart Ellis. Actually, think will remain safety car free here. I believe he was allowed back to pit lane. Saragi goes to an 18 flat at this point in time. I wonder, remember, there is going to be a pit stop in this race. I just wonder if some of these boys are fuel saving.
Yeah, that may be a possibility. I see a slow car, the 78 of Jack Bird, and it looks like they were close enough to that gap in the wall that we can imagine that in the real world they would have been just pulled off the racetrack almost immediately. So that's the reason why we've gone safety car free. But Jack Bird is indeed slow and is causing a bit of trouble for drivers in the midfield trying to make their way through. He's got very damaged suspension on that Aston Martin. Looks like potentially the left rear might not be cooperating. In the meantime, as they come up to turn 8, that's going to get dicey. Zach Rattray White has caught Damon Woods, but the battles are still going on further back. Everywhere you look, there is a fight to be had. They're 2x2 through the hairpin ahead.
Yeah, yet again, 2x2. This is down for 16th sort of spot at this point in time. Stuart Ellis is the OPR car that's going to get an elbow thrown his way. Two of them, in fact. Marino Morella will skate on through. I think it was Kurt Chapman that got through, and it was Sam Chapman as well. So both the Chapman that are in this field, obviously operating for different teams. Vermilion for Sam Chapman, AITX Revolution E-Racing for Kurt. But it's good to see the two Chapmans out on track relative to each other. And the best thing, the thing that I'm really, really enjoying about GT3 racing in 2026 race is have a look at the manufacturer count. There is a big, big mix of a whole bunch of different race cars. Porsches are generally considered the better cars over the curbs. One of the Logitech cars around in the background. The Orbit Drop Bear entries. I think they'll be capable again. He has had a torrid night so far. Was coming in a little bit underdone tonight, I can tell you, in fact. So he was going to be struggling. He was just trying to get through it. But yeah, it's not gone that way for Lachlan.
Yeah, pretty rough going for Lachlan Capel here, and considering where he started, he's certainly not going to be happy with how things have gone for him in the last few laps. It's such a tough circuit though, and you can expect at least a few drivers to be having those kinds of issues. What matters at Adelaide is keeping it out of the walls, measuring your pace, and making sure that you get to the end. So briefly, Damon Woods found his way into the lead versus Jet Saragi. This was a while back. Saragi outbraking him at the Duquetteville hairpin and getting back underneath him. Very nicely done. In the process, that allowed Zach Rattray White to catch up to Damon Woods, and it looks like they're still going at it here. At that point on the last lap, worth pointing out, Damon Woods took a bit too much curb at turn 2 through the chicane. He didn't get a slowdown, but it unsettled the car enough that he lost some pace on the straight following, which almost allowed Rattray White past. So the battle is far from over between these two for second.
Here's the teammates having a little bit of fun alongside of each other as they turn off of turn 7 and start their run and their plunge down the back straightaway. Quite a little bit of a dip as they come down into turn number 8. Quite comfortable flat at this point in time. You can just see them there just having a little bit of a breath, a little bit of a look around. One of the big things of the benefits of seeing Rattray White over a long period of time is he's always operating with that webcam on. He's generally quite a fidgety driver, whereas Damon Woods, calm. Oh, another one in and behind a barrier looking for an escape point. That says to me it is Connor Nixon, car 22.
Yeah, mechanical black flag for Connor there. The Mercedes evidently having some big problems earlier on in the lap. And it was an issue with Patrick Reardon. I think we're about to get a replay of that. And it looks like It even involved one of the Project 36 cars, Harry Dodds, already one of the more embattled drivers in this race. It's just continued on. It all started at turn 4.
Yeah, so we'll go digging away and see what we can do. But for the meantime, we can tell you car 22 has been stranded where it is, and that's the entry to the back straight. This is the Project 36 car, so this is Dodds, and he's going to try and get out of everybody's way because he's a lap down at this point. Remember, we've already seen his issues for the night, so he's just trying to find pockets to let these guys go. Runs wide down here at turn 4. Waits for a hole. He's just parked up there, and Nixon runs it a little bit hot, and there's Red, and he's still there.
That's weird. That looked like way too early a turn in for Nixon. He was going to hit the inside wall on that trajectory if there wasn't another car there. So I'm wondering if there was a potentially a hardware or software issue for Nixon involved in that.
Yeah. For Connor, either way, it's the barriers down at turn 7 is where that car is going to find itself parked up for the meantime. Safety car for the first time tonight has indeed been called. Race leader comes into pit lane. Did Damon Woods miss that call? Did he continue on? Yes, he did.
So did Rattray White. Yeah, it looks to me like not too many cars coming to the pits from the top 3. So Jet Saragi is in, Dylan Shepard, Alan Dawson, Owen Coleman, Dean Mackay, Clint Smith, Sam Sutton, Eli Donaldson, and Sam Chapman for the moment. So yeah, there are some cars that have elected to stay out here, and with a safety car, you're obviously using a lot less fuel as you trundle around the circuit. Could it be possible that these guys are maybe gunning for a possibility of fuel saving even more, reducing their ultimate time in the pits and gaining track position that way?
Yeah, potentially. Critically, Jet Saragi, after that pit stop, has rejoined in 8th spot. So he actually hasn't lost. Oh, it's only been 7 spots, so he's actually going to lose. Let's list off all the drivers that stayed out because it's a very, very short list. So I think there's a few cars in this that might have missed a trick. Damon Woods, Rattray White, Aidan Rankin, Lewis Greathead, Byron Pierce, Muno Morella, Stuart Ellis. First car to come through the lane is Saragi, but there is 3 more cars that also didn't stop under this safety car. Corey Bennett, Jaden Green, Lachlan Capel. So really, inside of the top 11 cars, there is only one that's made a pit stop. That was just from the track position that he'd actually earned. And I'm just looking, I think the rest of the field pit. So it's literally 10 cars that have elected to stay out from, what, 35? It's about 1 in 3.
Righto. So, interesting decision. Damon Woods will have the luxury of a clear track ahead of him when the safety car period ends, but I think that's just going to increase the intensity between himself and Rattray White. Wonder what it's going to do for drivers elsewhere in the top 5 as well. Greathead, I think, will be quite happy to have a single file restart here and an opportunity to actually set some proper laps here, because remember, he was involved in quite a few scraps in those opening laps. It's only been now 10 laps of the race. We're starting lap 11 right now. So this has come quite early in the running, hasn't it? Only a quarter done or so.
Well, yeah, 45 minutes on the clock at the moment. There is still 45 seconds to go along with that one. Jack Bird's coming back down for another top-up. Look, the thing is, if you're at the back end of the field, one of the things I always say is you may as well leverage that. If you can't lose spots, you may as well go ahead and grab yourself some excess fuel. A few drivers off the lead lap at this point in time will grab an opportunity to put themselves back on the lead lap. Cars are still stuck where they currently are, by the way, as well. Have not yet been released for tow. So, reminder, we do have, I believe, Connor Nixon still down at turn 7. There was a few cars implicated in that one. On the lead lap at this point in time, only 28 cars, with Kobe Marshall being the last of them. Jack Bird was off the lead lap, so there might have been some dramas. Remember, did have damage for that car. So I think he was just in survival mode. And coming courtesy of our sponsor for this series as well. It's actually been quite good to actually have ourselves a sim racing centre down in Melbourne, jumping on the series and being a part of things for this season. And I can tell you basically, Reese, keep your eyes peeled because there is some more stuff coming out of that one, which I'm very, very keen to give ourselves an opportunity to talk more about. For the meantime, shout out to everyone back along at Motorsport Simworld Centre. I can tell you Damon Woods, a coach down there as well, so he gets a job out of all of it.
Excellent stuff. As we'll see something that Jay Kennedy has alerted us to, something that we haven't talked about just yet. I'm waiting for it. We'll see, though, Connor Nixon has toured back to pit lane and the safety car is pulling away from the field, so we are going to be going green at the end of this lap. A penalty from the race start for Jet Saragi for passing before the safety car restart line. A jump start, basically, at the very start of the race. He went too early, and so that just increases the pressure for the pole sitter.
He's in a good spot, though, and the fuel drop he's going to have at that pit stop is going to be significantly less, effectively 15 minutes worth of burned fuel. Righto, race is back underway, and the leaders have already gone at the front end of the field. The two drivers that will try and lead the way. Defending champion Damon Woods, not with number 56 that normally adorns that car, runs the championship winners, number 1 from 2025. As we get down through into the staircase on lap number 1. No one really close enough initially on the restart to attempt to go for a move, but there'll be a few guys with pace here, and we need to keep an eye on Saragi because he will have speed. Set the fastest lap so far here today. Now ranges up on the rear bumper of the 33 of Corey Bennett and the Acura that's just ahead of him. One of those oddball cars last year was a favourite in GT3 racing. In 2026, form a bit by the wayside. What does the Japanese manufacturer have for that of the Italian? And Saragi will get to the inside and get that job done. Picks off 1, 6 more cars to find his way back through until it's that battle for the race lead once more.
Yeah, he did go quite deep in the hairpin, though, so it wasn't an entirely stress-free manoeuvre. He has gotten it done, though, and it would appear that Corey Bennett didn't have much response to it, but he's got a different race to focus on. Now he has to think about Lachlan Cable behind him. Some spacing out going on here in the top 10 as Woods is perfectly back up to speed here. Got Aidan Rankin, Lewis Greyhead, Byron Pierce, Marina Morella, Stuart Ellis chasing them down as we find our way through the first chicane. And oh, well, hello, things starting to get a bit leery there. That's great, Aidan Rankin, and Rankin losing spots now as Byron Pierce gets by him.
Oh, Byron Pierce is going to get by. Rankin's going to try and reply. The reason for that, cut the chicane. Little bit too much curb usage at 1 and 2 for Aidan Rankin. He will lose a couple spots. That was a slowdown penalty. Now he's going to try and earn them again. And, well, that's an Eclipse car ahead of him. Those guys are always difficult to pass. The whole stable on the Aston Martin. And have a look at them all coming in towards this one. The run down to turn 8. Shepard's going to try and get to the inside. One of the lone Audis in the field doesn't quite get there. It's touch and go as they get down here. They'll scramble. It's that 4 wide on the run to the Kettville hairpin. They figure it out. They zip it back into a 2x2. Maybe racing doesn't just model itself off of traffic after all.
Maybe it does, and obviously getting on the curb is not ideal, as that was Jaden Green getting crossed up over the curb. Dean Mackay wide through turn 11, just avoided getting into the tyre barrier, but now he's going to see Eli Donaldson attempt to move on him there. That right there is how much curb can be taken to trigger the slowdown as they find their way out of the hairpin back on live pictures. Goodness me, things are just increasing in intensity every single lap here. I thought things would have calmed down a little bit after the safety car restart, but I've been proven conclusively wrong.
Yeah, well, no, it's the streets of Adelaide, and that means the elbows have got to get out sometimes to get the overtake done. GT3 cars generally don't suit themselves as well to street course racing, but sometimes that just ups the intensity. Car 22 has been issued a penalty. That'll be Nixon. That's somebody around. That's Saragi. Saragi's round. Oh. Turn 7. Watch them. They'll go left and right here. Who's going to miss him? Who's going to find the open hole? I think it was Mackay who got him. He's been clipped by a Porsche.
Oh no, and that is disaster for Jet Saragi. The man who started on pole position now sits forlorn by the side of the circuit waiting for the field to go by. The car is rolling, but is it rolling well enough for him to actually get going? He had to wait a few more seconds then for the next couple of cars to get by. Now he sees a gap, but the car is crawling. This is tough for Saragi. Let's see what happened to him coming out of turn 7. Was this a solo error? Up across the curb, already oversteering out of the corner. That was completely on Jet there.
Well, the big thing is, he's actually got no drive. I can hear the thing is absolutely revving, and it's that hit there, that hit with the Porsche that has triggered it. He's lost one of the rear wheels. He's got a broken drivetrain. There's power only going to one wheels, and the differentials, well, they want to deliver even power across the rear end. They want to allow a little bit of rotation, but if you've only got drive to one side, it'll keep trying pushing that torque to the other side. He's got no drive. He's got no drive to get Saragi. Here comes the field. They know he's there. They know he's parked in an awkward location. He's just in a tough spot. They might collect him again underneath the Valvoline Bridge. It's difficult to get a camera pointed down that way. There is a guy right underneath that Valvoline Bridge, but we just can't get a feed from him at this point. It's not coming through to us. 77 Morella, he's looking to try and get aggressive with Stuart Ellis. How long before he has a go? Capel lurks in the background after his torrid start. It's all going everywhere. Reese, the big thing is, when are we going to break? Because it's action all the time. Think about how the drivers feel. There is a straight down the back straightaway, but it's not all that long.
No, it's not. And they're going to have to negotiate a chicane in the form of Jet Saragi, who is requesting a tow from race control, saying in the in-sim text chat that his voice chat is not working. So that's going to throw a spanner in the works. We might see a second safety car out of this, depending on how close he is. But for the moment, I want to draw your attention to Dean Mackay, who was the green Aston Martin that we saw sliding towards the wall when Jet Saragi initially spun around. He ended up clobbering the wall out of turn 7, but he somehow managed to keep it going and maintaining 16th.
Well, you say that, but he's got the elbows out at this point in time. Oh, he's actually been run! Reese, that is the worst commentator's curse I've ever seen. You called his name. You got him on screen. He was 3-1. He's going to get a whack. It's coming from Clint in the background. Now there's multiple cars implicated in this one. Everyone's trying to find a hole through to the outside. Sam Chapman will go side by side through turn 7 to 4-1-3. It's bent at the moment. It's not functioning as it most likely wants to on the run down to turn 8. There's more coming our way. There is absolutely more coming our way. Does Chapman manage to make it through this corner? Brake lights are glow as they come through turn 8. Here comes Wakefield to the inside. Are you kidding me? It's going off. It's absolutely going off in this series this week. The Open Series on behalf of Motorsport Simworld. This is going nuts. This is turned it up. I think we've skipped 11. I think we've jumped through to about 17.
Yeah, I think we're about that point as well. Speaking of numbers in the teens and 17, Reese Wakefield currently sits in that position. And the last time we saw him, he was going backwards into the runoff area at turn 7. What a recovery it's been for him. Hopefully that isn't a commentator's curse as he's made his way to the back of Dean Mackay. Jack Bird getting a 10-second penalty for the incident on lap 4, deemed at fault. So that's not going to be ideal for Jack Bird. We keep an eye on Wakefield here as he's going to try to get past Dean Mackay for 15th spot. There's a big angry pack of cars behind them, all of them probably wiping the sweat off their brows from the chaos of the previous couple of laps. Chapman, Curtis, Tonkin, Benjamin Wilder, Jack Stone, and Harry Dodds, who somehow is still in this race.
Mate, I got an opportunity to turn laps around this track in anger in a Porsche Cup a couple of weeks back, and I did it with the flu. And I tell you what, I was exhausted, absolutely zonked after a couple of races. These things, more grip, more speed, more trying to get it down there and pull the car up into the ABS, try and turn it back, try and get the drive out the other side. And they're turbocharged, these Aston Martins. They're looking to try and spool that thing up. They've got access to a different sort of boost gauge inside the car, 5 levels of that. One of them gives you a huge shot of torque off of all the corners. Here comes some of the pit stops. Sam Sutton's going to dive into the lane. He's going to jump out of the way of some of these guys and just look for a hole in the traffic to just sort of get his night started. But the big thing is, it is difficult. It is difficult. Track is scorching as well. 41 degrees Celsius out there at the moment. Once more, through the chicane at 1 and 2. Mackay makes
slow
it through.
down.
The 2 cars do not. Isaac Curtis and Reese Wakefield, I think, both got slowdown penalties. One of those guys have cleared them. Curtis still has a slowdown penalty. He's going to try and clear that. Wakefield got his and got his out of the way. Car 14's around. You cannot take your eyes off it. There is something happening constantly. Jack Stone is the guy that's around at the moment.
Yeah, the race for the lead, very well-timed shot change there, Jay, looks absolutely sedate compared to everything else that we're seeing out there. Some spacing out in the top 5, and the closest battles are starting to form just outside the top 10. We're keeping an eye on Corey Bennett here, who's sandwiched in between Dylan Shepherd and Alan Dawson. Dawson in the Porsche often has been seen today at the centerpiece of a lot of these fights, and moving up the inside into the final corners there, it looked like Corey Bennett let him have that.
Yeah, I think Corey might just be in a little bit of a conservation mode. He doesn't look like he's got a whole deal of pace on board the Acura here tonight. Notice the Honda in the Japanese market, the Asian market, but the Acura in Western Shores. Depends how much we'll see of this car in the near future as it starts to get phased out as well. NSX, everyone's got memories of NSXs. It's at least over 30. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people who've played Gran Turismo games over their lifespan and how iconic those cars were. So when we saw that we were finally getting on the sim, I can tell you there was such a community uprising. So keen we were to see it. How long before we get the Toyota or the GR or whatever it's known as? It's going to be loved. It's going to be appreciated. But it's going to be some time before we start to see that one. In the meantime, this is the battle between Capel, Morello, and Stuart Ellis. And I think Owen Coleman is actually the lead car that has now stopped.
No, it's Dylan Shepherd in 9th place, who's currently trying to skip away from Alan Dawson and company. Eli Donaldson, meanwhile, looking a bit close enough to pass here. Could this be a run into the final corner? Not quite. He's a bit too far back. This final hairpin is such a tight turn. You think the Dequetteville hairpin is tight? I think the final corner is even tighter. The amount of lock that you have to crank on the wheel to even get through that hairpin is immense. And then you're immediately turning your attention to that tyre bundle at the apex of turn 1. I've hit that more times than I care to admit.
I think the first guy to actually smash it and in real anger and get his name up in lights for it was actually a broadcasting colleague of ours that we were commentating a series for over on Wednesday night, Reese. It was actually Brady Baldwin who smashed it last year in the Logitech Pro Invitational. And, well, about the only thing he had to say about that at the end of the night was, well, at least it was it made for a fantastic accident. That's what it's capable of causing. The field have navigated it rather well here tonight, and a broadcast colleague, Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, I think said, pretty sure he said at the end of that, oh, my wrist, that kind of hurt. So they'll be looking to stay away from it. Not good for the safety of a race car, not good for the shock that gets sent back through the steering column. Eyes on Barry as these guys come back to the start-finish line for now. Just shy of the halfway marker, under 2 minutes to go in the first half of race number 1. And a reminder, race 2, these guys are going to reset and go again. Jet Saragi's night, not over. What does he look like cutting through the field in race 2?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Really anticipating a solid drive from Jet Saragi, but he may have to try and tone the aggression down a little bit in the opening laps, because if the opening laps of this race are anything to go by, well, we're certainly going to see a lot more of that in race 2. Our leaders then separated by only 0.7 of a second here, coming down the Brock Straight in between the gum trees in the Adelaide Parklands. It's a beautiful area, and we're seeing, I think, some reasonable gains being made from Zach Rattray-White at the moment. He is matching Damon Woods substantially and has the fastest lap of the race, only by 1/10 though, and the previous lap he was only about 1/100 of a second faster. So Damon Woods is doing just enough right now to keep ZRW at bay, but how long can that effort last?
And the big thing is he'll be right up and underneath that rear diffuser. As we'll keep the camera down here, this is what the field sort of looks like at the spread at the moment. This is back to about 18th as they cut their way through the hairpin at this point in time. 19th for Harry Dodds, and he's going to let another car go as he just looks to carry on with his night and try and keep it alive. Yielding sometimes the best way to go racing. Just listening to Zach Rattray-White's on board, and I can tell you he's not fuel saving. I don't think Damon Woods is either. But they certainly fell back from Saragi. Saragi had a significant pace advantage over them in the heat. So race management, race thoughts, strategy. And the big thing for Adelaide, it is so tough to get a pass done around here. You're relying on a mistake. at the pointy end of the field, those don't come very often. They are very, very difficult to achieve, so you've got to be ready to pounce. The easy way to get past them, in the pit lane. If you add less fuel to the car, pit stop's significantly shorter. You can pass them inside of the lane just by being static for that much shorter.
Yeah, it's a pretty short pit lane at Adelaide as well, compared to other circuits we usually see these cars race at. So the pit transit time is not huge, but that was almost a huge moment for Damon Woods, glancing off the tyre barrier on the exit of turn 11. And Zach Rattray White also hit the barrier coming out of turn 6 earlier on in this lap, I believe. So both of our leaders are pushing hard. Both of them are glancing off those barriers from time to time. They've got to be careful of that. Hello, skate park.
No, I think that's the turn 1 chicane, is it not?
Oh. It's, hello? Where are we at here?
Turn 3.
What part
That's
of the
turn
track
3.
is that? Oh, that is. Oh. So technically it is the turn 1 chicane we were looking at, just from a slightly different angle.
Yeah, and is this not where the pits are for the sprint cars when they come over here? I'm pretty sure this big old oval out over the back here, this is where some of the garages and things are when V8 supercars come here. Look, this is on the bucket list. I can tell you that for sure. MotoGP might just be the impetus I need for a South Australian holiday. Never had the opportunity to visit. Actually, I think I've dipped my toes in South Australia on the Great Ocean Road. That's about it. Previously, during my days living in Melbourne, but this racetrack is picturesque. And there's a street sign, signs that civilization is only a stone's throw away from the racing circuit, buildings in the background, people's homes. And Adelaide greatly supported on the sim. Thanks as well to everyone in Adelaide that make it possible. The South Australian government are supreme in this, actually. I can tell you that the mayor of Adelaide is actually a friend of one of the original owners of this league, and there might have been a few conversations. He went to high school with it, did Jimmy Middleton, and that might have kick-started a little bit of conversation about trying to get this racetrack scanned. Moments ago, this happened for the 3-3, I believe that is the 334, yeah, another Aston Martin going around. And for Wilder, unfortunately, a tricky night becomes just a little bit more trickier.
Yeah, that it does. We've had a pit stop as well for Lewis Greathead. He's jumped in after 23 laps completed. And it's a reasonably long pit stop compared to the stops that happened under safety car, 14 seconds. And Zach Rattray White losing about 0.4 of a second on the previous lap. I don't know if that's him just dialing the aggression down, focusing on preservation, or if he went a bit too far with the aggression. Certainly Damon Woods has not dialed anything down. He's still glancing off that tyre bundle out of turn 11.
Yeah, aggression does not get dialed down. I don't think these guys know anything else but full tilt. Here comes Aiden Rankin, whose Lamborghini seems to be starting to respond in terms of its pace at the moment. Byron Pierce having to cover him. This will be an interesting battle because the Lamborghinis look quick tonight, albeit this is the only one inside of the top 6. All the way back to Marino Morella is Aston Martin's bar Aiden Rankin. Can't get through the chicane the way that he wants to. Byron Pierce was quicker, and Rankin picks himself up a slowdown penalty for his troubles. Starting to find some speed on board the Lamborghini. Gets a little bit close to the Aston Martin. The aerodynamics just don't work quite as well when the air can't get there, but a mistake from Byron Pierce might just add some impetus back to this one. There will be damage to the Aston Martin, and it was right on the left rear wheel that slapped the barrier. What's the drive like out of turn 7?
Looks like it's pretty equal for the moment, but that is not an incident that Byron Pierce would have wanted. You could see that he was pushing super hard through the staircase, but those right angle corners, those 90-degree bends, they are so difficult to get right. They look simple enough from the air. Oh, you know, just turn left or turn right and away you go. But there's a lot of subtleties to those corners. They are on public roads. There's a lot of bumps involved. You got to keep an eye out for the curves, for the walls. And if you scrub the fronts, if you go in too hot even slightly, you are going to meet that concrete. And that's exactly what happened to Byron Pierce. So let's see now what Aiden Rankin can do to respond.
Well, he's responded. He's right back to him after serving a slowdown penalty at the start of the lap. He has driven his way back to Byron Pierce. The other thing that you didn't note in all of that, Reese, was the crown on the road. This being public right now, Byron Pierce is also going to pick himself up a slowdown. That was not comfortable. That squirmed over the chicane. Rankin closes in as he gets to the rear bumper. And for Aiden, an opportunity will beg. The slowdown penalty still on the table for Byron Pierce, but a moment in mid-corner stability. He's going to rob him of that one. Through 5, now through 6. Rankin is closing in. Byron Pierce finally clears that slowdown penalty. Now it's back to business as usual. Gets good drive off. Just over half a second back from Byron Pierce. He's going to need to find some speed. Isaac Curtis is the car that shoots through the front end of that shot. He is the lapped car. He'll jump out of the way in the near future.
Yeah, still got to make up a few seconds to him, though. Isaac Curtis actually having just come out of the pits as well. So looks like if these guys still need to make a stop, they'll fall back behind him very shortly. Coming back into the infield section of the Victoria Park racecourse, the purpose-built section that has changed very little, if at all, since 1985. Into the pits comes Byron Pierce, just avoids doing a David Coulthard and running into the pit lane attenuator. Into the pits then for the Eclipse 560, and that may trigger a cascade of pit stops within the top 8. We have still 7 cars left to come into pit lane.
This lap will now be crucial. We found a cricket pitch in the middle of it because this is where Jay Kennedy and I would find ourselves if we were down in the Adelaide Parklands, but it might be a solo lap for Aiden Rankin. It'll be a lap that goes down as one that's pretty boring in all things considered. No racing action that'll actually be important to him, but this lap might decide his night. P3 might be on the cards. What do the pit stop lengths look like for a host of these guys? And critically, where did Byron Pierce pop back out? That might be one of the biggest stories of the night because that will set ourselves for this final run to the flag. He's dropped back out in 16th. Jet Saragi's back out on the racetrack as well. Kurt Chapman, Harry Dodds, both off the lead lap with issues. Here comes our leaders. Once more, sorry, no, my apologies. This is Byron Pierce. So he's dropped back out in the hole, and this is critical for him because he definitely needs fresh air. Woods and Rattray White, well, they're closer as well. All of a sudden, Zach Rattray White's starting to close back in. Aiden Rankin, he's going to look to go a couple laps, and I think he's going to extend this in as long as he possibly can because he wants that fresh air.
Yeah, and it looks like Isaac Curtis is keeping up some good pace in front of him, so he's not going to be a problem for Rankin anytime soon. Look at the lines you take through this chicane. It's so difficult to get the line right. Now, keep an eye on the turn 2 apex there. You see that curb. That looked like that might have been a slowdown. That was almost a slowdown. That was almost a slowdown too. You have to take a lot of that curb in order to be fast through that section of the track, but as long as 50% of your car is on that curb, you're good. If you run a bit too far beyond it, then you will be slapped with that brutal slowdown that we've already seen a couple of times today. And, you know, even considering all of that, the bumps, this may be a purpose-built section of racetrack, but it still has that public road nature, doesn't it?
Yeah, that it does. And the problem is it's got to be used whenever this racetrack is not in use. Does get use as part of the historic festival down here as well. A love of sports cars and car racing in general. In and amongst the area, the parklands are commonly heard echoing with the sound of racing engines. But for Aiden Rankin, at the moment, it's a Lamborghini that tears down the front straightaway, looking for any little advantage that he possibly can. Loses a little bit of time with our leader. I can tell you that there is a car backwards at the moment. It's Jaden Green. Oh no! Oh, the lap car! As Curtis has gotten involved, Aiden Rankin's night might just be about ruined. Curtis has had a problem through the chicane, and it was just a case of wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, and that's what I feared. A little bit too much curb at turn 2, and the curb is higher than you think once you start getting beyond the curb itself. The car was just unsettled. The rear end kicked out for Isaac Curtis, and around he went. Close quarters at that section of the circuit at high speeds. There really wasn't much the Lamborghini could do.
No, just wrong place, wrong time. And for Rankin, he was on and trying to apply some pressure. For Isaac Curtis, he's got the brake lights on. Has he? I don't know necessarily he has got the brake lights on at that point in time, but no, there they come on. So there was no brakes applied for Isaac Curtis, and that will be looked at by race control. That will be considered in all things. I was about to say GT3 cars, ABS, that will prevent the tyres from basically locking up and that car staying to driver's right. Our camera shot left through that section of the racetrack, but it was so late to get to the brakes there. It rolled back in the opposite direction. Too late. Aiden Rankin will make it back to pit lane. Safety car not required at this instant. 20 minutes on the clock. How long before some of these drivers come to pit lane?
Yeah, that is the question. Well, Stuart Ellis has jumped in ahead of Aiden Rankin, so the One Performance Racing number 73 looks to have sorted himself out now. He's going to fall way down the order as a result. I think just about everybody who stayed out under the safety car is now suffering as a result of this. Everyone who pitted under safety car, I get the feeling they've basically gotten their pit stops, that their required fuel pretty much sorted. Which begs the question, Damon Woods and Zach Rattray-White, they are currently, looks to be about 16 seconds ahead of Dylan Shepherd. Pit lane transit time is certainly a bit longer than 16 seconds, so I get the feeling, unless they've been able to save fuel and maybe stretch this out so that they don't have to pit, which is looking more and more unlikely as time goes on, how far will they end up falling? And will Dylan Shepherd be in the box seat to win race 1?
Well, for that, the answer to all of those questions, we're going to have to go on board with some of the cars that are in that position. So another shot, and Aiden Rankin will not want to see this replay for as long as he may live, because comes through turn 1, turn 2, looks relatively good. Where do you go? Where do you go? And all of a sudden the car just comes. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing he can do. That's just consequence of being in that spot at that point in time. But the cars we actually need to ride on board with is not these guys. These guys are trapped on their strategy. It's actually the first of the few cars who have made their final stop. And one of those is Dylan Shepherd in the One Performance Racing machine. One of the leaders over at this team. A lot of pace on board for car 143. But what's he capable of? And what has he got to do with this Audi Evo? How much fuel savings required? Dawson's the next car on the road. He's in a Porsche. Coleman a Mustang. Eli Donaldson's the next car on the road. All of those guys have done their pit stop. We think. That might explain why Corey Bennett was so slow. He might have been bulk saving on board the Acura.
Yeah, you see that? That was a big lift from Dylan Shepherd right there, coming into the hairpin. So he is fuel saving. This is turning into such an interesting final quarter of this race. Shepherd clearly not quite able to make it on flat-out pace, but we'll have to wait and see what more he can do. Change for third, meanwhile, Marino Morella and Lachlan Capel trading spots as Capel comes into pit lane. And the stewards reviewing incidents from further back in the race. Apparently Sam Sutton was under investigation for causing an incident on lap 15, but no further action. It was a racing incident. Capel has had a tough go of things, as we've already said in this race, but into the pits now for him. Corey Bennett and Dean Mackay emerging from right of frame, just behind. And it looks like Dean Mackay is going to come in for another pit stop as well. So for the moment, flurry of final pit stops. It basically means that our top 3 are the only ones yet to come into pit lane, and I'm expecting them to have to.
Well, also a note that'll be important as well is we've got Dylan Shepherd on board as a separate manufacturer, a different car from the Bathurst round previously as well. So whilst this will look good for the sponsors and it'll be looking good at the moment, well, there's Damon Woods. So he wasn't fuel saving as much as Rattray-White. Now, the lead car in the group can never save as much fuel as the guys that are in behind him. You punch in the hole in the air. You can't do anything about that. Rattray-White will continue on. Marino Morella, we wait for what he's up to. He's in a pit lane as well. So does Shepherd emerge in the lead? Shepherd's made the opportunity to switch over to the Audi. But that does mean that it'll be a disqualification. He had to put a ticket in to request a car swap over to the Audi. And following that, it's a rear grid start as well. So I don't believe he'll be eligible for points tonight, but it won't matter. He'll be after a race win. For Alan Dawson, though, that's just in the background. Has he saved enough fuel on board the Porsche? Smaller engine, less cylinders available to him, can be a little bit more efficient in terms of what it's able to put out. Marino Morella will roll back out of pit lane. Damon Woods is slotted back into P5, so it's not a massive fall for those guys, and they will be going full tilt to the end. 15 minutes on the clock. This will be tight on fuel. This will be really, really tight on fuel. And the big thing for these guys that don't have to save fuel, they will be tearing it up. They will be going at full noise. For Woods, he's 3 seconds away from Eli Donaldson. That will be his first target. How soon can he tick it off?
Yeah, that is the question. keeping an eye on the pace. It seems that Alan Dawson setting 118.8s. Dylan Shepherd, despite his clear fuel savings, still able to set 118.6s as Zach Rattray White is going to cleanse the field and be the last car to come in for a pit stop here. Shepherd will duly take the lead of the race, but Alan Dawson, depending on where he gets out, ahead of Rattray White or not, will be in the box seat to get the maximum points from this first race. There goes Shepherd into turn one. It is done and dusted there. Zach Rattray White just emerging from his box now and falling behind Eli Donaldson, but potentially is going to come out ahead of Damon Woods. A shorter pit stop.
Well, he's got the job done. He's about 6/10 ahead of teammates, so he was lurking on the rear bumper of Damon Woods. In difference in terms of the pit stops, 1.6 seconds was the difference. And that is what 1.6 seconds worth of difference in the static time. He was able to go one lap longer, but Woods had a lap to wind up and throw the fuel at the thing and see what he could possibly do. Do they work together? Do they try to fight this one out? Because if they squabble and they squabble through the traffic, they're costing each other time. What's left on the clock? 13 minutes and 14 seconds. 40 seconds left on the clock. Isaac Cooks, no penalty for that one, for not holding the brakes through 1 and 2. And I'll save my judgment on that one. We'll continue on with the race as it currently stands. For Stephen Tonkin at the moment, he's in a really good position to score a boatload of points, but Byron Pierce would like to have words about that.
Certainly would. It looks like the Eclipse Aston Martin has a lot of pace on board coming down the straight. No sign of fuel saving there. And out of the hairpin, the McLaren is going to be looking in his rearview camera, and seeing all over the back of him this Eclipse Aston. That's a nice run out of turn 11 for Byron Pierce with 13 minutes remaining on the clock. Is the opportunity going to present itself into the final corner? It will. Up the inside goes the 560 and Byron Pierce is through. Tonkin straightening up the car a bit earlier, but you don't often see passes into the first chicane, and for very good reason.
Yeah, and now Byron Pierce will try and cut his way through. Was that too much use of a chicane? It was for the pair of them. They both got slowdown penalties. The car 143 for Dylan Shepherd at the moment. We need to keep an eye on what the pace looks like between himself and Damon Woods. The margin's down to 12 seconds back to Damon Woods, so he is coming, and he is coming at a rapid rate of knots. It's about half a second, but the problem is a lap time around, he's just shy of 1 minute 20. That means we've got somewhere in the realm of 11 or 12 laps left to go. Shepherd just put a call on the radio. There's a car ahead of him with having connection issues at this point in time. He wants it out of the way. Of course he wants it out of the way. He wants to focus, and you need focus around this place. You need to be able to see everything at this point in time. Kobe Marshall is the driver on board the 325 Ferrari, and he's out of the way. He just jumps out, not even going to try and get in the way of that one. So smarts about it. But look at Dawson. Dawson's starting to close in, you know. He's not too far off this one. Alan Dawson is every bit of a shout of winning one. And I tell you what, the Riot Sim Racing boys, well, there's a word for it, and it's in the name. Riot. That's what's going to happen tonight if they somehow produce some magic.
Yeah, indeed. Our former race leaders flipping positions then. Zach Rattray White holding off Damon Woods. Got Eli Donaldson not too far ahead of them. And Donaldson's last lap, a 119.2, playing a 118.7 and a 118.6 from Rattray White and Woods. These two, with no need to save fuel towards the end, have all the pace in the world and all the opportunity to make that pass back with the... Oh yeah, that is quite the margin indeed. Let's see what we can do coming down at the back stretch here. These two have to battle with each other and also try their best to catch up to Donaldson. They want to get every position they can here. It wasn't ideal avoiding the pits under safety car, but by the same token, it has allowed them to push all the way to the checkered flag. Yeah, and they will be going full noise. What's Shepherd's pace look like? Over the last 5 laps, it's been an average of 118.867. He's about to get another lap added to that one. Last time I was at 18.706. What does his lap number 36 look like? A 19.078. His pace is starting to fall off. Is he in a little bit of a fuel hole? Has he not saved enough? The margin, we were talking about it, what, a lap ago, it was 12.6. They've taken a second out of him and out of that race leader. Might be a bad lap for car 143. But all of a sudden, Alan Dawson is closer. He's taken about half a second out of him in the lap and a half or so that we've been keeping an eye on this one. Woods starts to crawl in. Reese, this is going to be a blockbuster. You know the best part? We get to reset and do it all over again. That we do. We're only halfway through the racing action for tonight. Love these double sprint formats that Premier Endurance League is running this season. That was quite a power slide out of turn 7 for Damon Woods. Little check of the moustache and away he goes once more. Under 10 minutes remain, and the pace is continuing to decrease for these guys. It's continuing to increase for Shepard in terms of time taken in particular. Yeah, that 119.0 from Shepard. Rattray White, a 118.3 on the previous lap. We're almost getting close enough to potentially seeing the fastest lap come down in these last laps.
Well, the thing is, with that pace and that pace differential, it's not going to be enough. The big ticket factor is Dylan Shepard's just come past, so it was an off lap for him. He gets it back down to an 18.897, but all of a sudden there's another incident, turn 1. Oh, Shepard's going to clip! It's the second time tonight! Shepard's in the fence! Dylan Shepard's night is done! It's the 334 machine! Benjamin Wilder has put him in the fence, but Dylan Shepard, there's the Aston Martin in the background. All of a sudden, Shepard's day will be done in the One Performance Racing machine. That's a lap car. That's Kobe Marshall who's trying to cut through. Here comes the leaders as well. Shepard's just trying to crawl through. There's Woods. There goes Rattray White. Rattray White is back to P3. Shepard's on the race control. He's at the moment, he's in a chatter to them at this point in time, trying to get that one look like he's trying to find a hole. And Shepard finds drive. I was wondering, does he have drive in the rear end of that car? Yes, he does. Is he trying to find a hole to get through? Where's he going to pop out? But unfortunately, it was wrong place. Second time tonight. Wrong place, wrong time. Nothing he could have done. Oh, there's a Mercedes nearly in the back.
And when we see this replay, we'll see that Benjamin Wilder will probably be looked at by the stewards for this one. He hits the wall, goes back into the barrier, then see him lift off the brakes there. I think he actually applied some throttle. Potentially, he thought he could cross over to the other side of the track before Shepard got there, but there just wasn't enough time. And that has just completely taken Shepard out of this race through no fault of his own.
Alan Dawson hasn't had a big name result in a long time. Car 62, the Riot Sim Racing outfit. He's a host of thousands over there. They're all larrikins. They're all characters. They've all got a bit of personality to them. They've got their own podcast, damn it. And at the moment, 7 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. He's in the race lead, but there is a question mark. There is a fuel question mark, just like the entirety of Australia at this point in time. Did he find enough fuel? Was his jerry can able to be filled? And how much did he pay at the pump?
That is the question, but have a look at that. I think that 1 second that Donaldson, Rattray White, and Woods made up on the previous lap might have had something to do with Dawson lifting off for the crash ahead between Wilder and Shepard. Speaking of Wilder, that was very quick from race control. A 25-second time penalty for Wilder, and I would call that justified, I think.
Yeah, but there's more coming out as a result of it, so it might be something to do with something else going on. But it's also an unsafe re-entry that's sort of being looked at. So there might be something else that happened to 334 a little bit earlier on. Oh, Dylan Shepard just rejoined the racetrack right alongside of Alan Dawson, so he's gone perfectly. 1 lap down, driver of car 143. Fuel will no longer be a question mark. Now the question we turn ourselves to is Rattray White. He took 1.13 seconds out of him on that last lap. Dawson had a car rejoin in front of him. That would have taken the eyes off of it. There's also going to be an epic fight between Eli Donaldson and Zach Rattray White. Vermilion versus Eclipse at this point in time. You know, a few of their drivers cross over. They talk. They race NASCAR together. Well, this isn't NASCAR, baby. This is not NASCAR. This is GT3 stuff. The Porsche stable versus the Aston Martin. Turbo versus not naturally aspirated. 6 cylinders stacked in the rear of the car versus 8 in the front, boys. This is what we like. This is the variation. This is a little bit of something and a pit stop strategy. My word. Reese, can you believe there's another hour to go?
Yeah, I can't believe myself. Exactly. I feel like mentally I'm almost done in terms of excitement I can handle, but we have got another hour of this to go. Dawson's coming into the pits.
Oh no! Alan Dawson has led all the way through to this point, which changes the story once more. We didn't think there was enough on board for this one. Eli Donaldson now, though. He will lead. So does everyone who pit under that safety car. Are they going to make it? What about Saragi? What about Saragi? Think about where he potentially could have popped out. He's now 12 laps down. Won't finish this one. But for Rattray White, he's got the advantage. Slow down, penalty car, 218 through the first chicane. Here comes Rattray White. He was denied at Bathurst. Will he be denied in race 1 tonight? Not by Eli Donaldson. What's Damon Woods got for him as well? Will Donaldson make the end on fuel? Is this educational? Will he peel off at the end of the race? 4 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock, and Eli Donaldson wants that checkered flag in Barney's hands, and he wants to see it flapping in the breeze next time past the stripe, but he'll have to wait.
Yes, 3.5 laps remaining here, and Eli Donaldson, well, he has a little bit of a look there. I don't know if he's fuel saving. We'll have to wait and see on that. Maybe an onboard will tell the story, but at the moment, he is a Porsche and an Aston Martin sandwich, and this is going to be a super close fight to the finish if it keeps going like this. We have seen one Porsche, though, coming into the pits on the previous lap. Will Donaldson do the same? He's going to stay out for now, but Woods goes for the move. That's a bit deep, and he bumps Donaldson wide, and they are side by side on the exit. Woods is going to redress the position there and have another go, but that's cost him crucial time to Rattray White.
Yeah, I think the race win might now be over for Damon Woods. Donaldson pits the car in, up and over the curbs. We'll try and find somewhere to escape. He's going to slow down penalty to serve for himself. That will solve that issue. It's 10 seconds back now to Sam Chapman. Sam Chapman might end up with a podium out of all of this. He was seen with the elbows out in that first stint before the safety car as well. And all of the hustling in lap 1, all of the pit strategy, all of the posturing. My word. And that's race 1. Well, the best part is you've got guys with pace at the back of the field now. They're going to try and elbow their way through. Race 2 is going to be another blockbuster. Could you imagine another safety car at 15 minutes? I don't reckon it'll be late enough. I reckon nobody will make that choice anymore. Damon Woods is covering. And Donaldson has a bone to pick with the driver with the number 1 on board.
Oh, that's a bit too much curb there for Donaldson at the hairpin. Characteristic of this circuit is that a lot of the curbs are incredibly high. Remember, this track mostly dates from the mid-1980s, and the profiles of the curbs haven't changed all that much in the intervening 40 years or so. That's frankly ridiculous thinking about that, how long this circuit has been a fixture of the Australian motorsport scene. But those curbs have been hit by multiple drivers over the years, and every single time it's resulted in a big old swing for the car. Donaldson has made an excellent recovery from the incident with Damon Woods, though, and Zach Rattray White has been the big beneficiary, leading by 1.8 seconds. But now that Woods is through on Donaldson, can he shake him free, and will he be able to have a go at Rattray White on the final lap? I don't know if the gap is small enough for Woods to have a chance here, unless Rattray White makes a mistake.
How about Alan Dawson, though? After pitting, he's actually popped back out in 6th spot. This is still going to be a big bank of points for him. The big factor for those guys that tried to do the fuel save and tried to make it as deep into the race as they possibly could after pitting under that safety car is that the large portion of that run was with clear track ahead of them. That was the benefit of grabbing some track position. Donaldson throwing it back at Damon Wood once more. He'll get the drive out as he looks for the crisscross off the Keckville hairpin. But the outside down here at 11, it's a tricky place to be. Damon covered him. Got driver was waiting for another crisscross, and a throw down the inside. He might have a lob. Eli, if he doesn't have to pit for fuel, how long can this Porsche stay out? Can it stay out to the end of the race? He is throwing everything at Damon Woods. The white flag's out. He's not pitting for fuel. Now the next question is, does he have enough in the tank to get down here? And is he going to try some more? Is he going to disrupt Damon Woods, or he's going to cough, splutter, die, and potentially lose a podium on the last lap of race 1 of 2?
Oh, we have had about 3 hours worth of action in about half an hour of this race, and that's not counting the rest of it. Just incredible action that we've seen today. But this podium, I think, can hold their heads high. They have raced well, they have raced hard, and They have taken advantage where others have fallen by the wayside. That's street circuit racing in a nutshell. The amount of pushing that you have to do around here to get the result you need, it all balances against the curbs, the walls, the bumps, the crowns in the road, the oil and the rubber left over from the cars that use these streets every day of the week, most of the year. But for Zach Rattray White, he's off those public roads now. He's just got a couple of corners to go.
Did you see the little half fist pump as he drove it off of 11? He knew as soon as he got off of turn 11, there's nothing anyone can do. I might just pull it up a little bit early for the last corner. Little bit of a look around him inside of the sim for the driver of the number 17, denied by his teammate back at Bathurst. He is going to sit there and enjoy that one. Not even a smirk. There was the fist pump was whilst he was on the racetrack on that last lap. All of this is just chill out and enjoy. Out of the final couple corners for everyone else. Byron Pierce is going to come home in P5. Couple lap cars. Benjamin Wilder, Kurt Chapman. There's Dawson in 6th. He will be wrapped with that one. Drag race to the line for Lewis Greathead and Marino Morello. And I think Greathead got that one done. Yes, he did. Just over Lachlan Capel for all of those guys. This is Coleman, a shark bite out of the front corner of the 97 as he goes toe-to-toe with Corey Bennett for 15th and 16th as they come out of the final corner. Wakefield was down at the rear of the field early on in that one, so he will have a great drive through to P14. And I tell you what, Reese, we also have to re-rack him and restack him because our voices, I don't know if they're going to do 2 hours worth of this. I think they barely got through the first hour.
Yeah, I think so. My cup of tea is about 4/5 done for the moment, and thank God I have a big bottle of water next to me because goodness knows I'm going to need it. Here are the results then. Rattray White, 2.4 seconds, the winning margin in the end from Damon Woods, with Eli Donaldson rounding out the podium. Fantastic drive from Eli, especially to hold off Rattray White and Woods for as long as he did. Chapman and Pierce round out your top 5. Solid performances from them, as well as from Alan Dawson, who gets that 6th place in the end, despite having to pit very late on. Lewis Greathead wins that drag race to the line by just over 1/10 of a second from Marina Morella, with Lachlan Capel and Stuart Ellis rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, outside the 10 though is certainly a war zone in terms of what some of these guys had to go through. Dean Mackay in 11th spot. Aidan Rankin will be out of 12th for race number 2. Think about what he went through in that first race. Sam Sutton, winner yesterday of the Sebring 12 hours in the GTP class for him and the Logitech GODBM spot out of unlucky 13th. Reese Wakefield, Owen Coleman and Corey Bennett. We saw that battle to the line just in behind those guys, Ropi Aviolia and Azure. Trent Allen out of 17th spot. What's been a tough night so far for AOTX Revolution E-Racing. Clint Smith, Dylan Shepherd. Man, he would have loved a race win here from this one. Home in 19th after that damage, and Stephen Tonkin rounds out the 21st car, 1 lap down.
Also a lap down was Kobe Marshall, who we saw spinning out of turn 7 at the very start of the race. He's joined by Benjamin Wilder, Ryan Bell and Jack Stone, and Wilder with still a penalty being worked out for the unsafe rejoin that ended up taking Dylan Shepherd out of the race lead. First cars 2 laps down, Patrick Reardon, with Harry Dodds and Trent Stapleton, 2 drivers who would have been hoping for better out of this one. The same goes for Jack Bird and Kurt Chapman, and Jet Saragi, our pole sitter, classified 30th, 12 laps down in the end.
I don't think that will mean he's actually eligible for points either, which will be important. Isaac Curtis, we saw the issues for him, unfortunately. Jaden Green, Connor Nixon did not rejoin the circuit, unfortunately for him. Ben Jeffrey was only a couple laps in before he retired. And, well, unfortunately for drivers entering on the GT4, it wasn't to be their night. The safety car does more laps than the driver who mistakenly entered in a GT4 car. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take ourselves a 2-minute break or so to just gather ourselves up, get a drink, and allow Reese to refill his cup of tea, because he's going to need it. 1 more hour of the Motorsport Simworld GT3 Open Championship as we go sprint racing from the streets of Adelaide.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races, such as the Daytona 24, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR schedule, such as the Daytona 500. We have events from disciplines all across the racing world, from the Indianapolis 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events utilize iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against every driver taking part. And as every race progresses, watch and feel the track change with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iRacing.com/special-events.
Well, we've gathered our breath. We've gathered a drink, an opportunity to reset ourselves for race number 2. But Premier Endurance League, it's been a while since the Open guys have been out on the racetrack. Last time out at Bathurst, it came down to a last lap fight and a decision to take tyres versus not to take tyres between Zach Rattray-White and Damon Woods. This time, shoes on the other foot. He gets the opportunity to roll it off from pole as Zach, and now, what is he capable of? Very curious to see how this ends up. If they go all square after 2 rounds, we just might have a championship on the cards, Reese.
Yeah, we may certainly do. It's a progressive grid from the finishing order of race 1, so that means that Rattray-White has got pole position in this one. He'll have Damon Woods attacking him from the very start, Scott.
Yeah, off of the front row, the 2 boys that work together, no longer under the same stable, but they're still the best of mates, and they still do race alongside of each other. Zach Rattray-White, after winning race number 1, starts off a pole. Damon Woods for the Motorsport Simworld entry alongside. Eli Donaldson showed us what he's capable of in race number 1. Grid spots will favour him and his teammate Sam Chapman. They'll go side by side off of the final corner in race 2. Row number 3 is going to be Byron Pierce, who was trying to make some fuel strategy work, didn't quite necessarily work out his way. 5th spot, reasonable haul of points. And Alan Dawson led laps on board car number 62. He will be pumped with that. What's he going to show us on race 2? Lewis Greathead and Marino Morella are also going to be elbows out on the run down that first chicane. Marino's starting to bring himself back into form. On board car 77 will tonight be his night. Out of the final row inside the top 10, it's going to be Lachlan Capel, who managed to get his way in car number 8 to P9. A little bit disappointed it wasn't one spot further forward for him. Stuart Ellis rounds out the top 10. That will be a season high for him. He will be very, very proud of that performance to P10 on board the OPR Mercedes.
Yeah, he'll be looking to do even better in race 2. Dean Mackay had a big appointment with the wall out of turn 7 in race 1, but he will start 11th alongside Aidan Rankin, who was on course for a podium finish potentially in race 1 were it not for an errant Aston Martin. Sam Sutton starts 13th alongside Reese Wakefield, who made his way up from outside the top 30 in the first race. I'll be very interested to see what he can do there in the OPR machine. Owen Coleman has got Corey Bennett for company on row number 8. Pretty quiet drive from Bennett in race 1, but quiet is good at Adelaide. In 17th place, Trent Allen has got Clint Smith for company on row number 9, and the top 20 will be rounded out by Dylan Shepherd and Stephen Tonkin, 2 drivers who will certainly be looking for a little bit better, Shepherd in particular.
Yeah, he'll have the aggression out, that much is for sure. We saw him very, very aggressive at the early stages of race number 1. Kevin Marshall didn't necessarily go his way, neither did for Benjamin Wilder off of the first row outside the 20. Cars are rolling down the back straight away, so we're going to shortcut through a lot of these as we can. Ryan Bell and Jack Stone off of row number 12 in 83 and 14. Patrick Reardon is going to be out of the 48-foot machine off of 25th. Harry Dodds will be alongside of him. He'll be looking for a recovery in race number 2 on board the Mustang. Brent Stapleton and Jack Bird all the way back to row number 14, and row number 15, Kurt Chapman and Jet Saragi. A lot of work to do from our pole sitter from race 1.
Isaac Curtis starts 31st alongside Jaden Green. Then we got Connor Nixon, who had a really tough time in race number 1. It was the same for Ben Jeffrey as well, who will join him on the 17th row and the final row of the grid of race cars, getting ready to take the start here for race number 2. Same deal as race 1. It's a 1 hour long race with a likely pit stop required for fuel. 65% fuel tank restriction. If there's more than one safety car, potentially you could save enough to make it to the end without stopping, but that is extremely unlikely. Strategy is going to be huge here.
Yeah, the big thing was those guys that did pit at the 45-minute mark to go under that safety car could not get home. Starting procedure violation in the first race for Saragi. Woods is going to be aware of that one, as is Zach Rattray White. They get out of the last corner, and it's actually going to be Eli Donaldson who gets a really, really good launch on board the Vermilion Porsche. He slots into P2. First time through the chicane, side by side for a couple of them. There was a Mercedes who dived to the inside. That'll be great ahead, who was looking for a run. It was Dawson that come at the cost of, but the field, by and large, make their way down through. There's some aggressive blocking in the background of that one. I think it's Marino Morello who's picked up a slowdown. Aiden Rankin who's trying to grab some spots as well, trying to sneak his way inside the top 10. And also Dean Mackay looking to try and grab some spots. Eli Donaldson got a slowdown on lap 1. He will be trying desperately to clear that one before they get to the back straight. Did get the job done on cold tyres.
Yeah, that he did. So he'll remain in second place there, gaining a spot. Not much moving in the top half of the field, but Jack Bird fell down the order, and it looks like Kobe Marshall didn't take the start. So that's going to be a couple of free positions for quite a few drivers already as the camera shakes. They blast by through turn 8. I love this viewpoint. It gives you a great view of how hard they're pushing, as that's 2 Astons in the wall there.
Yeah, 2 Astons that started turn 8 on the outside. They'll all manage to slot in. Might be okay. It was a brush with the wall, but it seemed actually some of the softer wall contacts that we've seen down at turn 8 thus far this evening. Cold tyres challenges the best of these guys. The GT3s have got more grip than they have perhaps about a year ago when that tyre model ticked over in 2025 to the new Aero and tyre update. Look at the racing we're starting to get as everyone's worked this thing out now. And for Damon Woods, is it just a little bit of sitting back? Is it just a little bit of watching? Because all aggression all the time, it really pays off. But it's one of those things you've got to know when to pull the trigger. And if there's someone who knows when to pull it, it's Damon Woods.
Indeed. Round at the back for Trent Allen. It looks like Patrick Reardon with some troubles as well. So Allen and Reardon are now 30th and 31st in the running order. And I'm seeing a potential drop from Harry Dodds as well, but it looks like he's come back just in time to get 19th off Ryan Bell. Damon Woods from 3rd here at the moment. We're seeing the top 3 break away a bit. I suppose you could call it a top 4 breakaway with Sam Chapman right there in the Vermilion Mercedes as well. I think in these early stages of the race, if I were in Wood's position, I would just keep it nice and calm for the moment. I wouldn't try to make too many hectic moves. You still got an hour worth of racing to go, and on a track where it's very easy to make mistakes. The Mustang teammates off and over the curb at the exit of the Duquetteville hairpin. This is going to get a bit tight.
Yeah, and Ryan Bell, I think, just about got into the rear bumper of Jet Saragi. He's already up quite a number of spots for him as he tries to cut his way through. 30th spot down through to 21st. This is what happened through the chicane. And I believe that's Curtis yet again that's into the barriers, car number 27. Got a massive hit, and there's a second one into him as well.
Yeah,
and
it looks like it was, yeah. Patrick Reardon. Oh my God, that's happened on the start-finish straight. We got 2 Astons without a rear wing, and is that a Porsche or an Aston without a front bumper? That's not ideal. I believe that might have been Jaden Green, Benjamin Wilder, and Kurt Chapman, or potentially Isaac Curtis. That was a really tough one. It's not often you see pile-ups on the start-finish straight around here. No,
that might have been an argument over position stirring from the last corner, and that just kicks on, and somebody has to move, and occasionally they just don't read each other And that is a left rear tyre that is bent on that car. He might be looking for somewhere just to get out of the way. So this will tell the story of the 334 machine. Yeah, there was a hole, and he got into the back of him. And it was the Porsche he got into the back of. And I tell you what, I think it's a 2-for-1 deal down at IOTX Revolution E-Racing. Although not the kind of 2-for-1 deal they were looking for tonight.
No, certainly not. Trent Stapleton was in the Mustang around the outside, and it looked like he was having some trouble keeping his car straight. Unfortunately, the Porsche of Kurt Chapman tracked out right next to him, and that's what triggered the incident. Something that you often see on the exits of hairpins, especially at street circuits. Well, back to the front. And it looks like the packs have compressed a little bit. Not as much of a breakaway from the top 3, top 4 as we previously saw. Dylan Shepherd, meanwhile, is marching up the order. 6 places gained, but he's not able to make it 7 quite yet. Marino Morella is steadfastly keeping him at bay.
This will be interesting to keep an eye on. And that's a Mustang with a left front tyre bent on the corner of that one. And that might have come from the turn 1, turn 2 chicane. It is a long distance to get back to pit lane from this one. I'm keeping up to date with Jet Saragi, who's up to 20th spot at the moment. He's tracked down Harry Dodds, will be his next victim in 19th spot. In the meantime, keep an eye on the 83 machine, attempting to make its way back to pit lane, and it is going to be a very long drive back there. Saragi will pick off another spot, so he is up to 19th. Next victim for him will be Stephen Tonkin. How about the battle pack? Back up at the point. Eli Donaldson would love an opportunity to lead laps on board of this car again in race 2. This time he's going to have to earn it instead of just a little bit of strategy trickery to try and pop out in a really nice spot. Made a difficult fuel position work. Now he's got the ability to burn as much fuel as he wants in pursuit of these guys, but at the same time just got to be gentle with it, because if you burn that fuel hole, you're going to have to pay that fuel debt. Jet Saragi deep in the field, whilst completing an overtake, by the way, sets the fastest up of the race by a couple tenths of a second. He is on a burn.
That's qualifying pace from Jet Saragi. He is on it and trying to regain as many positions as he can. You mentioned Eli Donaldson getting aggressive. Well, it looks like the run out of the hairpin and into turn 11 is his best spot on this track. Unfortunately, not able to find a way past Rattray White just yet. Keep an eye here on the tyre bundle at turn 1, and Ryan Bell comes in, and that is a solid hit. Look at the energy transfer there.
Yeah, that's just plucked the left front tyre straight off of that car. Right. Don't stray your eyes too far away from this battle, because at any point in time, it just might explode into a hive of activity. Because the problem in this is, if somebody goes for a move, all of a sudden the rest of the pack is going to get antsy and go, hey, there's an opportunity to grab something in this. I need to press on. Who is saving fuel in amongst this pack? It's a bunch of Eclipse guys.
Rattray White.
No, he wants that fastest lap of the race, gets down the 17.9s yet. So, who's trying to pick themselves up a little bit of strategy position? 3 Aston Martins, Porsche, Mercedes. 2 Porsches make it in the top 7. I'll tell you what, pick up an onboard shot for somewhere in the middle of this pack, because just trying to read where any of these cars are as Corey Bennett. This is the onboard, the Acura. This will be a tricky little watch for him as he tries to spot his way through. Reese Wakefield's the car ahead. Sam Sutton, the next car ahead of him. Owen Coleman. And then at the head of this little pack is Marino Morella, who's had a rough start. Started out at 8th. He's back to 13th spot. Corey Bennett is, well, is it just me, or does he look like his eyes have all of a sudden gotten a lot wider?
Yeah, they tend to do that when you're approaching turn 8. And it looks like he's got a front row seat to a defense there from Morella as Owen Coleman tries to cut back underneath at the hairpin. And that will check up everyone in the process. Bennett with half a chance of getting back past Wakefield. This Acura has had a reasonably quiet night so far, but he is right in the midst of the action at the moment and in the midfield as Owen Coleman once again tries on Marino Morella, but no dice for the moment. That Mustang's looking pretty strong out of the corners though, so maybe he'll get that chance shortly. Harry Dodds, meanwhile, running at the top 20 for the moment, up 6 places, and he'll certainly be happy that the first few laps of this race have gone better for him than they did in race 2, but he won't be happy with that. That has completely broken the car, and that's a huge hit. I think that's my second commentator's curse of the night. I sincerely apologize, Harry. That might be a safety car.
Yeah, that might be it. And the problem is, where are we in terms of race trim at this point in time? That's come 6 minutes earlier than the one in race number 1. There will be some guys at the back end of the field that will take it. No, he's going to be let go. They're not going to deploy a safety car for that one. They're going to try and keep us rolling here. And that's the tricky decision that we're going to try to make here tonight. Eli Donaldson is a lot closer than he has been in a fair while. Rattray White is starting to come under a wealth of pressure. But this is what it's like to be at the top level. You have to be able to handle this. This is a man on board that Porsche who is trying to apply the butane torch to the rear end. It's not to turn the top of the creme brulee into nice, crispy and crackling. Give it that nice little bit of crunch. But if Zach Rattray White makes one long move, it might just be a little bit of a crunch as two cars come together.
May very well be. Into the staircase then. One thing that I've noticed about Eli Donaldson is he really ranges up on Rattray White under the brakes. Zach is braking a bit earlier, which allows him to carry a bit more speed through the mid-corner and the exit. But every time they get to a braking zone, that Porsche is right on the back of him. Donaldson loves making up time under brakes, and he may do the same here coming into turn 8. Slipstream's going to kick in, but it won't be a move through turn 8. It'll be into the hairpin.
Well, the big thing is there's a bump draft as well for the 218 machine. Does he plow wide? A little bit. I was about to say, he's so close to that rear diffuser. The front end of that race car's going to start switching off. Damon Woods is going to range up on the back of these guys. Lap traffic just down the road. All of a sudden, I guarantee for anyone in this group with a heart rate monitor, it's come up a few notches on this lap, let alone. Eli Donaldson has got speed. He's got the ability to apply pressure, and we've noted the performance of the Porsche under brakes at this point in time. And it looked like he actually had a car with a fair bit of point in a straight line, fair bit of poke. So that Porsche, don't count it out in the ability to try and get some straight line speed. And if he'd have cracked the throttle a little bit earlier in the straight and built that run as the straight went on, he would have had some overspeed to take somewhere. I was so just confused with how that Porsche performed through the kink. I did not expect him to get that close, let alone give Zach Rattray White a little bit of a hurry up. And now Damon Woods' turn has arrived to try and turn that one around. Rattray White is the weakest car in this little bunch at the moment. He is the one that is coming under fire. How long before he starts to crack? But this is what the best are paid for. He does not look... I tell you what, you could not tell if he was sitting there having a Sunday drive. You just would not be able to tell.
Yeah, his expression barely betrays the pressure that he's under as Donaldson has another look under braking, trying to psych him out a bit there. Damon Woods' view showing just how much of the steering lock the drivers crank on to get around that hairpin. 2 hairpins around this place and a lot of steering input required to get through them. Adelaide's one of the places where mechanical grip is on display for sure. Sure, the GT3 cars have downforce and they display that through the first chicane, through turn 8, but everywhere else, it's all about negotiating those low-speed corners. How best can you manage the traction and the braking on the way in?
This has been an interesting one as well. Jet Saragi's just caught a pack of cars. He ran down Corey Bennett. He's got that job done now. So he's also worthwhile just keeping in the back of your mind. He's got the 17th spot. Next victim for him will be Sam Sutton. And Sutton, I believe, has been picked off by Reese Wakefield as well. Wakefield now just comes through the chicane. And that was a big moment for Saragi. So Wakefield's got a slowdown penalty just ahead of these guys. Stephen Tonkin in the background. Also a slowdown penalty. So as they navigate the staircase, Sutton struggled for a little bit of turn in the Aston Martin.
Have a look at this. Poor Jet Saragi just coming off the curb of turn 2, wiggle to the right, to the left, and that was so close to a massive slide. Jet Saragi is pushing as hard as he dares around here, and he's throwing caution to the wind coming into that first chicane. Will it be the same coming into the hairpin as he rounds up on Sam Sutton, moves to the inside, and he's alongside the Logitech G-Orbit Drop Air Aston Martin, and he is through as easy as you like. At least that's how it appears from the exterior. Probably not the same story from behind the wheel.
Yeah, but Sam Sutton as well tends to have quite a large racing brain and racecraft up there with the best of them. So that would have been him just going, look, this is probably going to happen sooner rather than later, and it's not the final 15 minutes of this race. That might change the way that decisions are made. Saragi to 16th from 30th on the grid. One more spot and he halves his starting position. And for Reese Wakefield, well, Jet Saragi's just at this point going to start getting comfortable passing Aston Martins. He just seems to have the performance, the Italian mark of Lamborghini. Well, they started making tractors. That is not looking like a tractor from the Lamborghini here tonight. Back up to the front end, and Aiden Rankin's around. It's not been a good trip to Adelaide for Aiden Rankin. You know, he has raw speed, he has raw talent, but the way the races are going together, look, I might actually have to be one of the better Rankins now. He's, I can say that comfortably from the commentary box. I'm under no threat to go out and perform.
No, this is how it happened for Rankin. He was behind Dylan Shepherd, and it looks like he actually ran to the back of the Audi, and that the weight transfer from that lost the rear end for him. Very awkward spot to come to a stop. We saw on live pictures that he was just reversing a tiny bit at a time because he was worried about cars coming around the corner behind. Pretty much all of these corners are blind around here. You have no warning apart from your spotter for cars stopped there. That curb, turn 2 curb, you know, the Porsche will have a slightly lighter front end, full stop, than all the other GT3 cars because of the engine in the rear, obviously. But I still am in awe at the amount of bouncing there is in the front end for Eli Donaldson across that curb. How he's holding on to that, I have no idea.
There's a big battle. We actually need to go back and have a look at Marino Morella at this point in time. He had a terrible run as he came through turn 1 and turn 2, and that is Jet Saragi, who's currently having a go. This has been triggered by that bad run from Marino Morella. Owen Coleman tried to go around the outside through turn 4, and Saragi's already made his way through Reese Wakefield. Not only as he get past Sam Sutton and up into 15th spot, he's already 14th. There's a challenge for the lead at the same time. Eli Donaldson is continuing to throw it at Zach Rattray White. Where do you look? The problem is you need to have eyes in the back of your head. You need about the eyes of a spider at this point in time. You need 8 eyes to follow 8 individual battle packs. We don't have 8, but we're going to get the opportunity to go picture in a picture and side by side because there is 2 major battle packs happening. One of them for the race lead, one of them for just outside the top 10, and one of them for the future of Jet Saragi's night as well.
Yeah, Saragi needs to get a result here to make up for race 1. It's been really tough for him since that incident. He's gotten a great run out of the hairpin, but it's not going to be enough for a move into the chicane. He'll need to nail the exit from there and hope against hope that Owen Coleman doesn't have a problem there. Nice smooth run across the curb for the Mustangs so they can continue their fight up to turn 4. Briefly focusing on the battle for the lead for a second, Jay wanted us to go to it because Eli Donaldson was alongside Zach Rattray White, but on the outside down at the hairpin. So he's getting a little bit braver with his moves. Worth keeping an eye out.
Yeah, and Marvel's starting to build just off the racing line as well as we get into this one. 17 minutes will be ticked away in just a few moments, which means strategy might start to play a part. You definitely want to run this tank out as much as you possibly can in this first stint. Why? The car goes faster. But if there's a hole, if there's an opportunity to get this car back out in the racing circuit in clear air, Eli Donaldson might just take it. Saragi gets to the inside of Coleman. There'll be a little bit of paint exchanged, and Owen Coleman has just been sent a Saragi message. A message from Italy and the Max Boost team on board of that Lamborghini. And as we wait for the Temerario, in the meantime, what a car that thing is tonight. That 37 machine and the Lamborghinis up and down the field, they have had raw speed. The problem has been keeping the thing pointing in the right direction. Dean Mackay sets the fastest lap of the race, by the way.
Oh, fantastic pace there from Mackay. He's right at the end of this the battle pack. In the back half of the top 10. We'll keep an eye on Saragi though, because it looks like he's going to round one up on Marina Morella here. A big look up the inside of turn 4, but it's not quite enough. Morella's going to stay ahead for now. Mackay is currently battling with Stuart Ellis and Lachlan Capel, as I've just seen our first pit stop. Not for damage. Kurt Chapman into the lane.
Well, Owen Coleman might be coming for damage. That was the wall once, and it's the wall again. Someone's hit him. Up in a Corey Bennett in the air. And a pogo stick ride for Owen Coleman. That car is bent. The left front ripped off. He's barely got drive. He's barely got turn.
Wow.
And
yeah.
not over,
dear.
you would say, for car number 97.
Will it be over for car 33? Let's see if Corey Bennett is able to make it back to the pits. The car looks like it's driving straight, but that bodywork now gives up, and well, the hood is gone. No engine underneath it, of course. Mid-engined car, the NSX, but That was a nasty surprise for Corey Bennett, and that's a consequence of the walls being so close to the exit curbs in that part of the circuit. You make a mistake, you go in too hot, you're going to hit it, and if you're in the middle of a battle pack, there's nothing that the drivers behind can do. Now Shepard goes to the fastest lap. We're down to a 17.7. That is 100% qualifying pace as we find our way through to the incident here.
Safety car has been deployed, and the critical thing is we are 4 minutes later than we were at that last one. You can definitely make it home from here. Eli Donalds have proved that in race number 1. And that's Owen Commons' first mistake, and the car just does not bite. It does not turn. It's switched off. That's his first opportunity to test the steering wheel. That's the problem. Unfortunately, it was Reese Wakefield that was first on scene there, and he just had nowhere to go. And there's Corey Bennett's vision.
Yeah, Bennett would have had no warning either.
No, and the big thing for the ride on board Corey Bennett, that picture does not display, is how blind he is with the cars and the visibility. And that's the challenge of street courses. You will see the entire field pit. I think this one's just barely inside the pit lane window. Yeah, they're all coming in. I don't think there was much of a decision there. Yeah, here comes the onboard shot for Corey Bennett.
Yeah, you'll see the Mustang hit. Yeah, it was blocked by the cars ahead. Yeah, Bennett had no warning at all, and there was no time to react. That's such a shame. He had fantastic pace in that battle. He was keeping it nice and simple for the moment, but that's going to result in a bit of an alteration to his strategy as the field now comes in. Everybody in from the top of the field. There goes Dylan Shepard up on the jacks there, taking tyres, apparently. Not too sure if that was an intentional decision, but Eli Donaldson's going to be the first out of the lane here with a 12-second stop and 3 seconds faster through pit lane than Rattray, White and Woods.
That's a risk. Could that be a very, very short pit stop to try and grab track position? To tell you what, who else has grabbed track position? Byron Pierce has grabbed a whole bunch of it. He's up to 4th spot as well. Saragi back up to 12 spots. So he has gained. He has net gained out of that pit stop cycle. This will be an interesting one because there will be an element of fuel saving, you think, required to get home from here. But it's going to be tight. This is right on the leading edge of the window, you know.
Yeah, and yeah, as you mentioned, that does make Eli Donaldson's shorter pit stop quite risky indeed. Only 12 seconds worth of fuel being put into the car, and well, he's not going to have anyone in front of him to fuel save off. No slipstream, unless he lets those Astons by him immediately. But Byron Pierce is right with them now as well, so there's a lot of potential for some jigging about in the middle phase of this race. The safety car period should last for another lap or so after this. So we'll get back to racing very quickly. Got a couple of lap cars in front of our leaders that are going to have to be waved around. But for the moment, yeah, I'm honestly not sure what to make of all of this. Donaldson is, he has a big question mark hanging over his head right now.
So, worthwhile pointing out for Marino Morella, he has lost positions out of this one. But remember, he was starting to become a cork in the bottle, and it looked like he just was struggling for bite at the front of that car. Long pit stop for him, 21.5 seconds. I would estimate that's tyres. So if we see any pit stops that are longer than, say, 15 seconds or so, that will be 4 tyres. I wonder whether or not he's taken 4. You did notice that there was a car up on the jacks as well in that pit cycle. That might be 2 tyres. You could get 2 done with the fuel that was added there.
Yeah, and that was Dylan Shepard, the car in question. So, yeah, the question is fronts or rears. The fronts get worked quite hard around this place, but the rears are very important for traction. So, yeah, I don't know. Dylan Shepard might have taken rear tyres there. I suppose that will remain a mystery for the time being as the waiver rounds have begun, and the safety car should pick up our overall race leader very shortly, getting ready to go green at the end of this lap, I imagine.
Conversely, I challenge you.
What a race it's been.
Left or rights, Reese? You would go left-hand sides.
True.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting question because Adelaide, being a clockwise circuit, has more right-hand corners, so you'd think left side tyres would be the way to go. But some of the most significant corners on this circuit are left hands, which would require more load on the right-hand side. So, yeah, what do you do?
Seeing a couple of cars queuing up for wave by, so we won't be green this time by. Safety car pulled away well and truly in advance of this last time. And the other thing is Shepard was weaving quite aggressively in the wave. You actually see a couple of cars. No, safety car's pulling away. Safety car's going now. So we will actually be green this time by. I was just waiting. I thought there might have been another car because it did seem like a late pull away. I thought the safety car was out of here last safety car period, but an opportunity to get that one done. So we will be back to green flag racing, so the field will tighten up a little bit just before we go. Eli Donaldson has been given the command to maintain 80 kilometers an hour.
He's a bit over that.
Yeah, I was just looking at exactly that same thing at that point in time. So field will condense on their run to the final corner. Safety car is in pit lane. Field is in the hands of car number 218 and Eli Donaldson. We're going to strong launch out of the final corner. The field has been considered green flag. We are back to green flag racing. Safety period number 2 of the evening. And back to green flag racing. Eli Donaldson will lead the way for Vermilion. At this point in time, an opportunity for the Vermilion squad to chalk up a race win. And an opportunity for us to see what Zach Rattray White has in store for him, given how strong that Porsche was in the opening stanza.
Yeah, looks like Donaldson's having some trouble keeping the speed up, though. He was wandering a little bit through the latter half of the staircase section. He's nailed the exit onto the back straight, though, so he'll be fine for now. Rattray White and Donaldson have broken away from the pack as Damon Woods is under a huge amount of pressure from Byron Pierce and Sam Chapman. Chapman's going to make the move in the Mercedes, and it looks like he's going to be followed in by teammate Lewis Greathead. Let's see if both of them can get by the Eclipse Aston Martin. It seems like they might be able to. New leader, Zach Rattray White, has gotten back past Eli Donaldson.
Yeah, well, Donaldson was making the moves and potentially a little bit under fuel. I think he was hoping for a slightly longer safety car, which says he might have a fuel debt to pay. Was he saving in that opening stanza? Alternatively, did the Porsche not bring his tyres up to temperature quickly? That was Shepard in extremely deeply, and I believe contact with Lachlan Capel.
And it looks like
a mile back.
Yeah, that was a very optimistic move from Shepard. We'll see how Zach Rattray White got the move done. It seems like Eli Donaldson ran wide in the hairpin. Whether or not that was intentional remains to be seen. But the battle's continuing here. Shepard's in the wall. Jet Saragi having to make way for him. And goodness me, it's going off everywhere at the moment. Saragi and Shepard make contact, and that's huge. Shepard spins ahead of the field, and the track briefly blocked. Oh dear, this is not good.
This is not good indeed, and there's multiple cars involved in this one. Mackay's in it. In fact, I think that's actually 3 OPR cars, because remember, Dean Mackay is on his way to One Performance Racing in the near future. It's not worked out well tonight for the 143.
He's towed back to pit lane, whether or not he requested the tow first.
Well, he did request the tow first, but he was not given permission. Permission to tow has just been granted now, but we definitely saw Shepard out of there early.
Yeah.
What's happened? He's had a wild first lap.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I'm not entirely sure what was happening for Shepard, whether or not he was having some issues in the car. But Jet Saragi tried round the outside. That forced Shepard narrow into the corner, and he was trying desperately to hold on to the spot here, but just way too deep into turn 5. Made contact with Saragi, and Jet just got away in time, because, goodness me, the OPR cars, or 2 OPR cars and a future OPR car, got tangled up with each other, and it's a graveyard at the right-hander.
Did he get Stuart Ellis? Was the first car that was on the scene?
Yeah, I think so.
Jeez, gee whiz. Team Boss collects all 4 of their participants here tonight. That's going to be... Yeah, that's a post-race review I do not want to be a part of.
To be a fly on the wall for that debrief. Well, we'll find our way to an onboard here from Stuart Ellis, and here is the move there. Shepard way later on the brakes, no steering in the Audi, and then it was the bounce back off the wall for Shepard, and just collecting the wall opening there, just concrete to greet you there.
Far out, that was huge. Wakefield's gone. Wakefield's left us, so he got permission to tow. He's just done. He's out of here. Not interested in hanging around for the rest of that.
Don't blame him.
That's Damon Woods down the inside of Byron Pierce. So that will get that one back done for P4 Sim. Chapman's got his way through. When did that happen? We've missed that. No. in all
While
of
the
that,
crashing was going on, apparently Damon Woods had actually dropped to 5th at one point. He was massively on for it, and wow, that's another move there for Jet Saragi, getting up the inside of Alan Dawson, 23 spots up for the Team Max Boost Lamborghini. Apparently it was a slowdown for Woods, and that's where he got it, across the curb there at the first chicane, rather the only chicane around this place, and serving the slowdown around the outside for the number 11 Mercedes. Sam Chapman got it done nicely there, and Byron Pierce following him through, or at least trying to. Woods got back past him eventually.
that's Lewis Greathead also trying to go around the outside and take beneficial of the situation as well. I will just mention, do you remember you saw Shepard up on the jacks? I reckon that was left-hand side tyres, because what were all the corners he struggled at? Right-handed.
Yeah, absolutely. Cold left side tyres would certainly be the explanation for that. But yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting decision to make, and had things worked out a little differently, would have been interesting to see what Shepard could have done with that. But with the pace being as tight and fast in this league as it is, you've really got to have confidence in your abilities off a restart, and unfortunately it just all went wrong for Shepard. I don't think it was helped by Jet Saragi being as aggressive as he was, making those moves, which, to be fair, he had every right to be. Saragi has got a lot of time to still make up here, but the recovery that he has made so far has been astonishing. He now sits 7th just behind these guys. There he is, right behind Lewis Greathead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna double down and just point it out. Cars that are done for the day: Reese Wakefield, OPR; Dylan Shepard, OPR; Stuart Ellis, OPR. Done. That'll hurt. That will sting. Moving on with things. For the meantime, though, Sam Chapman is looking in really good stead inside of the top 3, but that was an aggressive move from Connor Nixon to get to the inside at turn 8. That's not often you see that move done, and Stephen Tonkin nearly mixes the braking marker on the run down to the Catville. Pulls it up finally. And Tonkin on the backward slide at the moment. Has some track position. Is a clean McLaren at this point in time. That was a lap car, I think, just jumping out of the way as we jump back board to Damon Woods. He'll now look to try. And
a lot of snapping here from Woods.
Sam Chapman, yeah. So Jay Kennedy in the background, our producer, was just saying he's been keeping an eye on the webcams, and there's been lots of little micro slides and little half corrections. There, right there at the apex. Little correction. Now we'll tip it in, and a little bit of an unwind. Have another go at the steering wheel.
Well, he just kisses the curb there, and that's going to allow a chance for Byron Pierce now to make his way past Sam Chapman. But again, the Mercedes seems very strong there out of turn 7. Interesting car behavior there from Damon Woods, as it looks like it's just going to work out still in the favor of Sam Chapman, at least until they get to the hairpin. Keep an eye out in your mirrors. They just managed to make it through 2 by 2.
That is Saragi.
Yeah, it is.
No way Jet Saragi's driven from 30th to 6th. That is a standout performance.
It's going to be
and it might be P5, because at the moment he's going elbows out with Byron Pierce as well in the 560 entry to the inside. Byron will try and get on the brakes. Lewis Greathead's looking for any opportunity to get to the inside. Outside, littered with marbles at this juncture of the race. 27 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock. And here comes the Team Max Boost Lamborghini for Jet Saragi. Race 1 not going in his favour after the incident, just after the safety car restart. Cooler tyres for the Lamborghini. Now he's going to have to defend from Lewis Greathead. Byron Pierce is a slowdown just ahead of these guys as well. He's going to have to try and clear that one through the staircase. Race control will be aware of that and monitoring. And here comes the move from Saragi to the inside. Shows Byron Pierce the outside of the racetrack. Pierce finds the fence. And now Lewis Greathead's just about on the rear bar as they get their way through the staircase. 5th spot now on the climb back through the field from Jet Saragi. And a race win is an outside chance, but it is still a chance. You wouldn't have put cash on him if you were a bookie, but for Jet Saragi and Max Boost, he's got an opportunity to have a go.
And it looks like he might gain a little bit more time now as the exchange happens again between Byron Pierce and Lewis Greathead. Just little taps is the way that you get it done around Adelaide. A clean pass is often rare around this place, but for the moment, they work themselves out. Good to see Alan Dawson still holding on to P8 as well. He's had a really solid performance tonight. As we look a bit further back, Jack Stone having to give up the position to Trent Stapleton there. Two cars that have had big issues in this race. Jack Bird, meanwhile, is not too far behind either. There's battling all the way through the top half of the field here. And this is our check-in with our leaders. Zach Rattray-White has left Eli Donaldson in the dust, leading by 2 seconds now. Damon Woods is finally free of the pack that he was mired back in, and Jet Saragi is continuing to maximize every single corner exit. He is barely leaving any room to those tyre bundles, and he's got a lot of pressure from Byron Pierce now, who seems to have gotten some more pace on that Aston Martin.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Jet Saragi has a slowdown penalty, and 30 seconds from the first chicane is right about here on the back straightaway. He's got to find someone to peel in, but Lewis Greathead has got speed because he's not had to lift. He did have a minor check-up to Lewis Greathead, a little bit of a cover on the run into the Kentfield. Saragi does pull it up. Must make sure he doesn't get in the back bar of Pillar and Pierce. That was a mistake over the chicane. Saragi took too much through the first couple of corners. Now he's 2 tyres in the grass on the entry to 11. And at the moment, the elbows are out, the temper is up, and I tell you what, how about the adrenaline from Saragi at the moment? But he's managing it. There is speed on board the Lamborghini, and he is using every single screaming cylinder of that engine. And its final iteration before it gets phased out in 2026 with a Tamario in just his first couple of races. Could Jet Saragi be putting on one of the last-ditch attempts for the Lamborghini?
Yeah, naturally aspirated V10 glory in that Lamborghini. Same for the Audi that Dylan Shepherd was driving. Meanwhile, this is on board here. No rear wing for the car we're on board with. And Lachlan Cable having a huge moment there through the first chicane. Frankly, I'm amazed that he didn't completely lose that. Saragi's about to make another move back up to P5 now. Nice recovery from the slowdown on the way into turn 8. Dispatches Byron Pierce on the way in.
Yeah, I think Byron Pierce is just being a little bit smart about this one. Lachlan Capel's dealing with all the issues that he's got on board of that car, but have a look at the big one. There is no rear downforce assistance from the upstairs section of the race car. No rear wing bolted on board. Those two supports at the moment, they're just creating drag. They're not really assisting, they're not supporting anything. But he's going to be relying on the underfloor downforce coming from the big old diffuser at the back end of the Aston Martin. Saragi back through to P5. Next target, Sam Chapman. Do you know what? He's 8 seconds down the road from the race leader. There is 23 minutes and 45 seconds. At this stage, we are on for about another 20 laps, including this one. There is every opportunity for him to run down those leaders, but he is going to need to arrive on the scene and get moves done quickly.
Well, he has a bit of clear air ahead of him now, so he should be able to make use of that. A couple of seconds to Sam Chapman for Jet Saragi. You do see, though, that with all of that traffic management that Jet Saragi had to do, he has lost out a bit to the leaders, and the gap that he currently has is about 8.2 seconds to Zach Rattray-White. I've just went to check back for Lachlan Capel. Fun fact, he lost that rear wing in the crash that happened when Dylan Shepherd ran deep at turn 5. So Capel has been carrying that damage for quite some time. It doesn't seem to have hurt him that much. Car
916 issue through the chicane is in between. No, he's just on the exit of turn 3 at this point in time. I've just heard a request to tow from that one. Safety car's going to be deployed. And you know who will benefit from that one? Jet Saragi. 7.6 second lead is going to get eliminated. Did the safety car get out? No, it didn't. I think we'll go another lap before the field will be caught.
Yes. Well, there's the stricken AITX Revolution e-racing car of Kurt Chapman. And the fastest lap to Jet Saragi now, down to a 1:17.6. That is officially faster than qualifying pace. And this is what happened to Chapman running into the first chicane there. It was the it was the compression coming off turn 2 there. The car just completely went on him. It looked like it bottomed out.
Yeah, unfortunately, a wild old ride. Just waiting. The safety car just barely missed the field. So they're going to, yeah, okay. I was just waiting. What's going to happen is they're going to pick the field up next time. The safety car basically slotted out in between. I think it was just ahead of Saragi, actually. So it was ahead of Sam Chapman in P4. So effectively what they're going to do is they're going to wait the whole field by. They're going to go around another time and catch that safety car. They basically just missed the field and releasing it in the way that they'd sorted that sort of thing. So basically the whole field has to come through from a procedural standpoint just to make sure that we get everybody on the same lap. They will try and get wave-wise done as quickly as possible, get us back to green flag racing. 21 minutes, 15 seconds. You know who benefits out of this, actually? Is Eli Donaldson with that short pit stop. There won't be a fuel question mark anymore for him.
No, there won't. And that means that his aggression may well dial up here in what's going to be ultimately the final green flag stint of the race. At least we hope so. There is always potential for another safety car to come out at Adelaide.
Yeah, well, yeah, if it's going to happen anywhere, it's going to be here, I suppose. Pace cars on the back straight away now, so as the field will line their way back up. So stories of the race, or at least of race number 2, is 30th to 5th spot. Other massive gainers. In fact, we actually have 2 drivers who have gained 20 plus spots. The second one is Connor Nixon, 33rd spot through to 11th at this point in time. So a reasonable night out after race 1 didn't go the way of the AMG, of the Logitech G Orbit Drop Bear Motorsports field. And they will slot themselves back up. Trent Stapleton's also plus 14 spots to 90 in the 94 car to 13th. 27th to 13th for him, so a reasonable start. Jack Stone, 24th to 14th. And Jack Bird is the other one. He's up 12 spots.
Looks like Isaac Curtis up 12 too, and Jaden Green up 11. So there's been some good gainers here in race 2.
Yeah, keep yourself alive, I think, has been the secret to race number 2.
Take you all your time and money, but honey, you will survive. Drive-through penalty for Ryan Bell for towing without approval. And, well, I would guess if Dylan Shepherd was still in the race at this point, he would be getting the same penalty. But Ryan Bell will not have an ideal run here. He's still towed back into pit lane. He's just exited the box now after 7 minutes spent towing and getting that damage repaired, but he is immediately going to be having to tour back through the pits again. Dylan Shepherd, for his troubles, a 25-second penalty for causing that incident back on lap 19. That was rough.
Yep, I'm not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. I have some thoughts on it, but I'll leave that be. The problem is, I don't think there's anything positive that's sort of going to be said about it, and yeah, we'll leave it as it is. Kurt Chapman's got the meatball flag because he was the driver that caused that safety car. I was just having a quick look who has damage. Drivers that are off the lead lap at this point in time, Patrick Reed and Benjamin Wilder, Corey Bennett, are all going to try and get back out there. So Redden will go back to the lead lap on board car 48. Wilder will come from 2 laps down to 1 lap down. He'll be hoping for one more safety car. And Kurt Chapman's just, he's not having a great night, unfortunately. And unfortunately for Corey Bennett, that Acura is rather bent.
Yeah, and he's carried that damage for a while, hasn't he? Ever since that unfortunate run-in with Owen Coleman on the way out of turn 7. That was another incident that was absolutely huge. But it looks like for his troubles, Corey Bennett has gotten that car mostly repaired. I see some fresh bodywork there on the front. So he'll get back onto the... well, he'll get a lap back. I don't think it's going to be quite enough to get back onto the lead lap at this stage. But regardless, worth a small recovery here with 18 minutes to go. This race is rapidly coming to a close. And honestly, Scott, it feels like it's flown by. I mean, it has been about 2 hours since we got on and really got ready for this one. Doesn't feel like 2 hours.
No, it feels like less than an hour. It is just raced by. So anyway, either way, wave rounds are done. It's a little bit late in the lap for us to be going green this time because we're at the pit lane entry. So it'll be next time that we go green for this field, and an opportunity to have, well, 2 sprint races in terms of endurance racing, really, the Premier Endurance Series. But yeah, this one's going to be an even shorter sprint race. I tell you what, though, how about the naming rights sponsor? They've gotten their money's worth, I think, tonight, and I think there'll be a few clips. Shout out the boys behind the scene, admins Ricky Provenzali and Leith McClymont, who make this happen. Race Control have had their hands busy tonight, so they all deserve a giant round of applause. There was actually quite a number of drivers after the Limited Series a couple of weeks ago, Reese, as well, that gave a hand to race control because it was tricky, also from the streets of Adelaide in the same format as we're witnessing here tonight. So from everyone that makes it possible here for the Premier Endurance League, big shout out to our series admins, Ricky Provenzali and Leith McClimate, and also to the race control team as well. Lachlan Capel's actually a part of that one and participates in the Open Series, but he jumps on board for the Limited Series. But Lee Williamson's the head race controller out there, so him and his team work incredibly hard, and I want to say big shout out to them because without those guys, we just don't go racing.
Yeah, and it's an often thankless job in race control and stewarding, administration, what have you. So, a fantastic job the guys do here at Premier Endurance League. They run a tight ship and do a really good job of it too. If you want to mark the date for the next race in your calendar, 19th of April, worth pointing out, we're going back to Australian Eastern Standard Time by that point. So for those of us here in the West, it's going to be 2 hours behind instead of 3. And that's a fact that I will need to constantly remind myself of every time the clock change comes around. It is in fact next weekend that the clocks change. So anyone who's racing over in WA, in Queensland as well, keep an eye out on that. Looks like we're going to be going green shortly, Scott.
Well, the safety car is in pit lane, so the field was in the hands of our race leader. I thought they went green there. The way they lurched off at turn 11, I thought they were green. Actually, I was wrong. The safety car was not actually in pit lane at that point in time. Zach Rattray-White will have to hold off a fast-charging Eli Donaldson. Donaldson's going to read this restart. Saragi is back in play for a potential win in race number 2. How long does Rattray-White hold them? He's not going to play any games out of the final corner. He is going to go back to green flag racing. Here comes Donaldson. Here comes Saragi. 15 minutes on the clock. What have the GT3 boys got for us here tonight? I tell you what, shout out to the naming rights sponsor as well. Cannot thank the Motorsport Simworld guys enough because they also pay the bills to keep the lights on to have racing like this. Deep down at turn number 4 for Zach Rattray-White. Donaldson's going to try and line him up and absolutely have a go. And the problem is, for Donaldson, he has a go. That makes him vulnerable to Woods in behind. And you can bet your bottom dollar Damon Woods will have a sniff if there's an opportunity. Car out at the field, at the tail end of the field. Car number 14 is going backwards at the moment. But back up to the head of things, Sam Chapman will have a sniff of a podium. But Jet Saragi's got fastest lap of the race. And I don't think that's the only accolade he's in a chance of tonight.
Jack Stone got crossed up over the bumps coming out of turn 4. That's why he was around. But fortunately, it looks like no one else was involved as Saragi makes the move for 4th there. But Sam Chapman is going to fight it here coming into turn 11. Saragi's going to have to give that one back up. And now Byron Pierce is back on him too. So Saragi's advance forward has stalled for the moment. But he's not too far away from our leaders who are continuing to run nose to tail at the front of this field. Tell you what, the restart from Eli Donaldson was very aggressive. He got a fantastic run out of the chicane, but couldn't quite make it work into turn 4. Let's see how he does this time by.
Damon Woods is a fraction further back. That might present an opportunity. Sam Chapman bounced a little bit too much over the chicanes as he gets himself a slowdown penalty on the run down into turn number 4. Car number 11. And one of the Vermilion Mercedes. Lewis Greathead's also up here and in with a shout. Byron Pierce, they're all lining up. Alan Dawson, 6th place in race number 1. What can he show us on board that Porsche in race number 2? He'd love another cracking result. There's so many good stories. There's so many good battles in and around this one. Final lap graphics popped up. Ignore that one, ladies and gentlemen. That one does not matter. That's a little bit too early to be waving the white flag. You might feel it's a little bit like the French in World War II. It was a fraction too early for them back then. Sam Chapman finds the fence at turn 8. And now down the inside, Byron Pierce is going to try and hang on to this one. Chapman was feeling aggressive. He was feeling quick. And now Lewis Greathead gets to his inside as well. Now the Vermilion Mercedes are going to go toe-to-toe as they enter down to turn 11. And we are continuing to turn this one back up.
Yeah, this is getting super tight now. And with laps remaining in the single digits, that's when you're going to be seeing these guys try to pull off some pretty spectacular moves. It was a solid brush to the wall there for the Merc. And, well, he's managed to keep it going at the very least. Just a graze to the side of the car. Big curb hop there for Sam Chapman. I don't know if that was enough to trigger a slowdown. I think he might have just gotten away with that. Alan Dawson is still right there as well. Don't forget that Riot Sim Racing Porsche, a constant presence in the top 10 tonight. And if the Vermilion cars ahead have issues, he'll gain 2 extra positions from that. But everyone's so close to the front of this field. You saw the leaders just going around turn 7 in the back a shot. Eli Donaldson, Zach Rattray White and Damon Woods equidistant, this time joined by Jet Saragi. He's on them now.
Yeah, he is, all the way up to P4. That Sud Speed safety car just changed things once again. Donaldson covers all the way to the inside of the road. There was an aggressive block from Rattray White, and Donaldson followed him. He was looking for the way through. The elbow has been shown. The door was given. And there was a little bit of contact. Donaldson gets to the inside. There's a little bit of a brush, a bang. They all manage to survive. Nobody finds the fence. Rattray White got elbowed wide. Saragi's in here. 2 by 2 for the top 4. Somehow the zipper comes back together. They're all single file. Damon Woods tags the curb at the final corner. Another door. Here comes Saragi. Saragi's looking for a hero moment as he tries to find his way through. So much paint has been traded. We might have to get involved with Dulux and get some paint samples out. They're still coming. Damon Woods over the chicane, given no room. Donaldson will fight it. Eli Donaldson takes the point. Damon Woods still has a slowdown penalty. Saragi in third, and cast your votes amongst that top group at this point in time. The way they're playing, Saragi gets another job done. Is he going to get to second? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
There was yet more contact between Damon Woods and Eli Donaldson, who's now running away from the scene, as that's Damon Woods going to retake second spot now. Potentially the slowdown cleared, not entirely sure. Well, yeah, okay, it has been cleared. That was a lucky escape there for Damon Woods, but now Eli Donaldson has 0.8 of a second in the lead. I wonder what race control has to say about that, as Saragi pokes the nose out, up the inside at the hairpin. Beautiful move from the Lexus Lamborghini. Contact on the exit between Woods and Rattray White. That's going to open it up to Byron Pierce, who's going to pass his teammate now for 4th.
And Byron Pierce has not had a word in this argument for the podium all day, but all of a sudden he's right there. Saragi started 30th. 2 Sud Speed safety cars. Rattray White back to the inside of his teammate. Out and onto the marbles now for the 560 entry of Byron Pierce. It's going to be 2 V8. One of them has a little bit of turbocharged grunt. As they get out of the final corner, Sam Chapman will lift a slot in. He knows he's not surviving on the outside of the way through the chicane through 1 and 2. But you've set a match to them. There's been fuel poured across the floor. There has been door panels shown. There are panels, there are mirrors, there is everything missing. Everything has been swapped. Insurance companies are getting a call. 9 minutes, 9 of them on the clock. It's single-digit minutes remaining. The Simworld, oh my word, I just cannot believe the Motorsport Simworld Open Series. It's kicked off in round number 2. Adelaide has given us a barnstormer. This one will be hard to beat for the entirety of 2026. I tell you what, Reese, sprint car racing was brilliant on Wednesday night. There's a sprint car course in the middle of this racetrack, but right now it cannot contend with what these boys have got for us.
Yeah, the sprint cars love to run the rears against the wall, and it looks like we're seeing much the same from these GT3s, as that's huge. Sam Chapman around, Connor Nixon also, and the McLaren of Clint Smith just sneaks through. Drama out of the Duquetteville hairpin. 2 Mercedes with their front bumpers missing.
Yeah, and now they're going to try and recover it and get it back through. Benjamin Wilder into the pit lane. Everyone is looking for every little bit of opportunity. And the thing is, it's nearly gone a little bit crazy, a little bit into overtime. One final Sud Speed safety car has just triggered chaos. Around goes the Mercedes, and it was just punched, and pushed, and beaten, and banged down the road as everyone tried to make their way through. Nobody is willing to give ground. And when there's 7 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock, you can understand why.
Yeah, goodness me. That was a huge hit there. I'm just trying to see how it was triggered. It was actually contact between the teammates. Lewis Greyhead and Sam Chapman coming together at the apex. It looked like Chapman ran a little deep. So that's going to be an awkward debrief here at Vermilion. You'll see it happen here. Chapman coming in, trying his best to make his move on the Aston ahead, but way deep. Greathead saw the move to the inside, but tapped him around, and then the chaos erupted.
Yeah, door got shut a little bit. There's a battle going on for the race lead. This is Cable continuing to try and get away without a rear wing on that Aston Martin. And there's a number of them in the field tonight, but that one will have the least support over that rear axle. Somehow that thing is still kicking at the back end of this one. Aiden Rankin's been given a gift as well within the seconds of speed safety car of race number 2. He crawls his way in a 12th spot. He will be trying to have a crack at the last spot inside of the top 10. The Lamborghinis did not look so good in race number 1. They had issues, but now with nothing left on the table in terms of race time, fastest lap of the race, he put it on pole, did Saragi. He is coming. Eli Donaldson, keep your eyes in the rearview mirror because your days in the lead might be numbered, but so is the time left on the clock.
Yep, 6 minutes remaining and change as Lewis Greathead's been given a 15-second time penalty for that contact at the hairpin, causing a massive incident. Looks like Trent Stapleton's had an issue. He's around at turn 5, it looks like, and that's an awkward spot to be in. But just thinking about Jet Saragi's pace, I was wrong earlier when I said that he was running faster than qualifying pace, but that was only his own qualifying pace that you could judge that off. The way he's been going about this, the fastest lap that he has, it would still have put him on pole for race 1.
Yeah, he's just had supreme speed tonight. There's something about that Max Boost car. Remember, it was, I believe it was Kane Ryder who had the speed a couple of weeks ago in the limited series from Adelaide as well. And he's actually inboard. I've just had a quick look up there on the Team Max Boost chat. He's on board for a little bit of spotting duties and assistance tonight. So whatever the package they put together for this Lamborghini, it is impressively strong. Woods is slotted back at a P3. Not a lot he can do about that. Eventually everyone's survived. Connor Nixon's now lost the rear wing for the Logitech G Orbit Drop Bet Mercedes, and he'll cut to pit lane. That thing looks horrid to try and drive. So race 1 didn't go his way. Race 2 will also go by the wayside. Something happened with Capel and Trent Stapleton in that 94 car. You said it was around. So we're looking to try and get an update on what happened between those guys. Right, 5 minutes. We are under 5 minutes to go. And apologies to everyone at home. The race has been that jam-packed. I think we might have broke the timing software. It's working. It's giving us timing, but it's not telling us how long's left in the race. That's what happened when you saw the white flag earlier on. So this was Capel and a slowdown penalty, and this is what race control I think we're looking at. So I think that's Stapleton there.
Yeah, it is.
I got the tyre barrier on the inside of that curb.
Yeah, but it didn't end there. It looks like that's Clint Smith maybe that got into the back of him. Only a light tap, but then Stapleton was around and chaos erupted behind. It has gotten very dark all of a sudden. Big clouds coming over the circuit a couple of times today, but it's that late in the day that we're almost racing in the night time here, as it's just coming up to 5:30 p.m. in sim time with 3 laps, 4 minutes to go. Eli Donaldson has responded very well to Jet Saragi in the last couple of laps. He has matched, even beaten Saragi's pace.
Yeah, but that could be a little bit of the dirty air on the front end of the Lamborghini. With 5 minutes left, the margin sits at 9/10 of a second. He's got not only got to run that down, he's also got to get the overtake done up and over the curbs, out onto that back straight at this point in time. It looks, without any sort of drama, that these two are going to be competing for the race lead. The Aston Martins in behind them just cannot compete from the streets of Adelaide, but there are other tracks where they will be a lot stronger as we get into the second half of the season. They're here for points tonight. They got them in race 1. In race 2, it's not going to be the Aston Martins that will sit atop the pylon. That, at this point in time, and barring a commentator's curse, which could always still happen, Eli Donaldson has a stranglehold, but he's taken a 10th back out of him as Jet Saragi from 30th to 2nd. Is there another sting in the tail? Can he do something about Vermilion Esports' Eli Donaldson Porsche at this point in time? The 2:18 leads. They cross the start-finish line. 2 minutes, 55 seconds. There'll be 3 laps left in this race, Reese. 3 laps. They'll have about 10 seconds left at the end of the second lap. There is just enough time for 3.
Yeah, looks like it. It's going to be really tight going on. No, this could be the move for the lead then if Jet Saragi can get past, but it's so hard to make a move in this section of the track. If Eli Donaldson executes this properly, he might be able to still keep Saragi behind, but we'll have to wait and see for that. Saragi brings the fastest lap down to 17.5. Has he cleared it?
He's still got it. He's still got it. It's cleared now. It's cleared now. And have a look at how big this Lamborghini's going to get. Is he going to pull out? No, he's going to wait. He's going to wait. He lifted off on the run down to turn number 8. But is there some tyre performance? We saw how strong the Porsche was as he gets into the Catfield. He blocked, but he didn't block it all the way. Saragi gets to the inside. Eli Donaldson's going to look for the switchback and the drive-off. They'll go door-to-door as they get off of the hairpin. Now it's down through 10. The kick there, onto 11. And the comeback might be complete, but Eli Donaldson's got another dog in the fight. He has got something more to say. To the final 2 corners of the racetrack. There is 3 minutes on the clock. Now there's 2. Now there's 2 more laps in this motor race. Donaldson gets drive, but Saragi will check off 1 lap led, and it's the second to final lap. He has chalked one up finally. 30th through the field. Who stood speed safety cars across the curbs? This one's not done yet. Porsche versus Lamborghini. It's all European. It's all power. It's all the top-end supercars. And they are taking it to each other. They are not afraid to have a squabble through the staircase. And Saragi's forced to cover.
This beautiful driving we're seeing at the moment from both of our leaders here. Donaldson is just nailing every single exit. He's been forcing Saragi to go deep into the corners. Unfortunately, it looks like the exit of turn 7 is going to favor Saragi there. A minute to go, and it will be white flag next time by. Is there any response that Donaldson has now that Saragi has clear air? Look at Woods. Woods and Rattray White are starting to come up.
Yeah, they fought and they squabbled too much. And when Eli Donaldson put his foot on the brake pedal, then the car just about shot left into the outside wall on the run down to the hairpin. He was looking. He was trying to fill the rear view mirror. The white flag will come out when they come off the final corner. There is 30 seconds on the clock. 27, 26. That's what we're dealing with. Barney has the white flag. It's not surrender. That there is 1 more lap left to run. It doesn't mean there's a slow car out on the race course somewhere within iRacing. Dean Mackay's night will not finish the way that he necessarily wants it to. Final run through the first chicane. No slowdown penalties for any of the leaders, but Saragi was vulnerable. He did not get a good run as they get to the staircase for the final time.
Yeah, it's all about how you ride the bumps now. Make sure that you stay off those curbs. Big slide from Eli Donaldson. He is ragging that Porsche for all it's worth. He needs to nail the exit of turn 7 here if he wants any chance of fighting Saragi for the lead here. But it's a clean exit for the Lamborghini. A clean exit for the Porsche as well. But let's see if there's any slipstream available here for Eli Donaldson. The Decathlon hairpin is beckoning, but I think he might be a bit too far back now.
And Jet Saragi, 30th on the grid. Race 1 didn't go his way. Made a mistake up and over the curbs as he come out of turn 7 in race number 1. In race 2, he had it all against him. He had a mountain to climb, and like his teammate a couple of weeks ago before him, Kane Ryder won on that occasion, but he run both of the races. Saragi won't be able to match that record in the Open Series, but what he will be able to do is the comeback of the season as Eli Donaldson threw it all at him at the last corner for Jet Saragi. What about that? 1 hour, 30th to 1st, an overtake every 2 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, for Jet Saragi, Team Max Boost and car number 37. That was a run to the lead. That was aided by some Sud Speed safety cars, but you still have to make it count, and he did tonight.
Yeah, he had to take the long way around, you could say, to get back to the lead after unfortunately losing it in race 1. Dean Mackay will still finish 15th after his appointment with the runoff area at turn 11. And just a few more cars yet to come to the line. Isaac Curtis and Jack Stone fighting to the line in 19th and 20th. It looks like Clint Smith in 22nd will be the last car on the lead lap to take the checkered flag. We'll see for Dean Mackay exactly what happened. Looks like a solo error here. Got on the brakes and the rear end just went on him there. He was actually turning around in the runoff area there. Just got out of the way just in time.
He's just trying to make some room because sitting up against that barrier, it's blind on the way in there. So he was just trying to do all he possibly could once that car rotated from the rear end, just to get out of the driver's way. And that's sometimes what you can do. Sitting there is certainly going to be a lot more of an issue. For Jet Saragi, for Team Max Boost, that is going to be a huge one. They will remember that one and celebrate that one for a very, very long time. And that is going to be a league moment that goes down in history as well, because he's taken it to the best of the best, run his way through that field, and just put it out there for all to see. The Lamborghini might be a little bit slow when we get later on, but from the streets of Adelaide, it did a phenomenal job. I cannot tell you how difficult that is for him to do. So it deserves a few extra moments of recognition. Eli Donaldson will be disappointed because you know what cost him? It was the moment over the curves through 1 and 2. That slowdown penalty, unfortunately, has ruined, well, not ruined, but undone a few of the dying moments in that race for him. So, unfortunately for Eli Donaldson, Damon Woods, Zach Rattray White, Byron Pierce, Lewis Greathead, Alan Dawson, 6th and 7th on the night for the Riot Sim Racing driver. Be very, very happy with those results. Marino Morella, Aidan Rankin inside the top 10, and Sam Sutton home in 10th.
Lachlan Capel spent the majority of the race with no rear wing, but still finishes 11th. Not a bad run. Sam Chapman, though, turned around by his teammate Lewis Greathead in the hairpin and will have to settle for 12th from a 4th place start. Patrick Reardon making up a solid amount of positions there, 12 spots gained. Jaden Green up 18, another impressive run too. Dean Mackay with a problem on the penultimate lap there and has to settle for 15th in the end. Trent Allen finishes 16th place with Jack Bird and Stephen Tonkin behind. Isaac Curtis and Jack Stone only separated by a 10th of a second and change as they round out the top 20.
Outside of the 20, though, yeah, Trent Stapleton and Clint Smith home on the lead lap. From here on out, it's the cars with damage, it's the retirements, and all the guys with issues. Remember, Nixon had issues very, very late on. For Benjamin Wilder, unfortunately for him, Motorsport Simworld entry, 3 laps down, issues a couple times here tonight. Connor Nixon, Ryan Bell clouding that first chicane barrier and the issues that he had. Corey Bennett, he should be frustrated because that was not his fault. That was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Kurt Chapman home, 16 laps off the pace. Dylan Shepherd, Stuart Ellis, Reese Wakefield, all caught up in that incident, unfortunately, for car 143. And issues for them back to 30th. Outside the 30, though, Reese is, guys that just did not have a strong race too.
No, certainly not. Reese Wakefield ahead of Owen Coleman, who found his way into the wall at turns 6 and 7, and Harry Dodds also not making it to the end. Towing without having to bring the safety car out with a huge crash coming through the opening turns. Kobe Marshall did not take the start, neither did Ben Jeffrey. And, there's a few drivers who will want a little bit better out of tonight, but one man who had it absolutely nailed in race 2 at least was Jet Saragi, who's going to join us in a moment.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and chat with the winner of race number 2, and we're hearing an absolute youngster, somebody who's still bringing his skills to the fore in terms of the sim. Jet, all to do in race number 2. Obviously, rather frustrated with the way that one all ended. Talk to us a little bit about the moment off of turn 7 in race number 1. A lot of pace on board that Lamborghini tonight, and then one little mistake brought it all undone.
Yeah, I just got caught out, lost the rear, and unfortunately couldn't really get back into it. Didn't had too much damage. Yeah.
Mate, tough. I had to rebound, had to keep your eyes going forward. When you gridded up in 30th spot for race number 2, a lot of work to do, but you got the elbows out into those first safety cars. Look, mate, 30th to 1st in a single race in under an hour in the quality of field. Where does that one rate in terms of your sim racing performances to date?
Oh, that's definitely my best race of all time. It was really, it was tough, but I just had to stay patient and fight through the field one by one, and we got there in the end.
Mate, obviously Streets of Adelaide really, really suiting that Lamborghini, but the big thing I think for Team Max Boost and you guys is you starting to all group up and put it together. What's the next step? Where do you guys want to take this run of form? Obviously, rest of the season from Premier this year to come, but in terms of the team, what's the goals? What's coming? Do you think there's another race win before the end of the season?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my focus is on the rest of PEL, Premier Endurance League, but we're also focusing some of our drivers in the Porsche Cup E-Series in Australia and all the special events mostly.
Mate, congratulations on getting it done and getting through a 30th to 1st. Go and watch that one back. Go and drink it in. Go enjoy it. But first, before you get there, who would you like to give a thank you and a shout out to?
Thanks to my parents. Thanks to everyone at Max Boost, Kane and Vaughan for spotting me, and all the competitors for the clean racing.
Most importantly, between Kane and Vaughan, who do you like a little bit more? Just tell us. We won't tell anyone, I swear.
Depends what mood who's in, so I won't go for that.
Diplomatic. Well done, Jet. Go off and enjoy that one. Have a great night, brother.
You too. Thank you.
Man, a fine performance from Jet Saragi. That was fantastic. But it was also an incredible drive from Eli Donaldson as well, who joins us now. Solid driving today, Eli. A third and a second, respectively, in the races. You had pace. Unfortunately, the fuel situation may have been a little iffy in race number 1. Race number 2, you were able to push as hard as you could to the end after that early pit stop that we had under the first safety car. You took a little bit less fuel than your rivals, so there may have been some doubt over whether you could get to the end without stopping again in race 2.
Yeah, race 2, it was sort of a guess on how much fuel to put in. It was saying about 26 litres, and I was saving a little bit behind Zach. Zach's was sort of just holding me up a little bit, so I was saving, but I took 24, and we got lucky with that second safety car, so it sort of threw all the numbers out the window, which was fine, because like I said, it gave me a chance to push again. And race 1, it was sort of just lift everywhere and try and save as much fuel as I could to get a result out of it. So I was quite pleased with race 1.
Yeah, as you should be. A stellar performance to bring it home in spite of the fuel problem. But the Porsche, I imagine, is always a good car out of the corners, with most of the weight being on the rear tires. It seems like traction was your big strength at the end of race 2, and you were able to dive it a bit deeper into the corners most of the time for most of race 1 and race 2. So obviously the car worked very nicely here at Adelaide, a track where braking and traction is essential.
Yeah, a lot of stop-start corners here at Adelaide. So it suits the Porsche to a T. Porsche can ride the curbs as well, so it was good through turn 1 and through 1, 2, 3. And then, yeah, just the stop-start nature of the staircase where it had the traction on the exits. And then it was really good on the brakes, so I could get in there nice and deep, and I could still get the car to rotate on the exit and get on it. So overall, really good combo for the Porsche. It's probably going to struggle the next few rounds with some higher, faster-paced tracks, but one of those ones you just send it and you play with the strengths and you deal with the weaknesses in the future.
Indeed you do. For now, it's a points haul that you should be ecstatic with here at Adelaide, Eli, after the performance you've had. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yes, I do. 2 seconds. I had this set up and I still bottled it. I've got everyone at Vermilion Esports, but great bunch of blokes. We've got Hymo Setups, Lewis Greathead coaching, Ben Faulkner Media, the Pace Wealth Fund, and 27 Designs for all the liveries. Without those guys, probably wouldn't be where I am. So just thank everyone else, and thank everyone from SimSpeed for the broadcast.
Look,
and thank
Eli,
you for joining us, Eli.
You don't have to lie to us when you say great bunch of blokes over there, mate. I've met most of them. You don't have to lie.
don't lie, can't lie. We're talking about that.
Oh dear.
Go rustle their feathers before the end of the night, mate, and ask them where they finished. All right, have fun.
Thanks, guys.
Oh dear.
I've been doing some NASCAR with those boys, Reese, so I think I've earned a little bit of a license to have some fun at their benefit. Finally, Damon Woods is going to come home in P3 for car number 1 tonight. It looked like that Aston was just not the car to be in tonight. Supreme pace for those Lamborghinis and those Porsches, but it was just about make sure you keep ticking the points over, and most importantly, have a great old stoush with your friend there and Zach Ratchery White in race number 1, and well, race number 2 as well. It was elbows out.
Yeah, I mean, we knew coming into this round that the Aston wasn't going to be the choice. In the official races, all the setup shops had the Aston being the slowest for the week. So it was just purely about maximising our car pace, and we did an okay job at it. We didn't spend as much time on it as we did for Bathurst, but then again, Bathurst is a good track, and Adelaide is a bit average in a GT3 car, in my opinion. So, yeah, it was a rough night in terms of outright pace, but yeah, we still had it up the front, and yeah, we were able to maximise as much points as we could, you know. I still think if we have a P3 as our worst result for the season, I think we'll be in good stead for the championship. So, yeah, eyes forward to the other rounds where we know that the Aston's going to be much stronger.
Mate, challenging night as well. Obviously, I think the big thing is that every time we crossed to your webcam, it was just cool as a cucumber. But one of the bigger things that we sort of noticed through the staircase in race number 2, and actually got noticed by our producer, was constant little unwinds of the steering wheel and half catches. It's not enough to completely unwind the steering wheel and go full catch, but the rear end on that Aston nearly looked more like a rear end on a Porsche with that sort of a pendulum-y style effect. Was that the biggest weakness tonight in the Aston, or was it more of those curves through 1 and 2?
The curve usage was okay through 1 and 2. it wasn't as good as the Lambo or the Porsche, but it was still manageable. But yeah, the staircase, she just had no power down, so we're coming out of there and just bagging the rear tires up as soon as we even thought about touching the throttle. So yeah, it was rough in that regard, and that's probably the spot on the track where there's the most time to gain. And we managed it as well as we could, but then you'd come off. I think the last bit of the staircase, and the Porsche would just gap you, same with the Lambo, just because they got supreme power down, and that takes you the whole way down to turn 9. So yeah, it was rough, but to be honest, it made it hard to fight as well, because we're always looking in the mirror, and we were never able to actually pull a gap. But in the end, if you get some elbows out as well, that always makes things a bit interesting.
Mate, sounds like at least, no matter what, it was at least a fun night. Got an opportunity to go elbows out, and really, I think the biggest thing for you guys is it's always a challenge when you're in the weaker car coming into these sorts of things, and it's a different challenge. Oftentimes you go in, you're prepped, you're in the strongest car. It's a different skill set being a little bit on the defensive. It's actually never a bad test, because you're going against something, again, as always, some of the best opposition in Australia. Sometimes being on that defensive, different challenge, a good opportunity to work on some skills.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had the same in GT Pro when we went to the bend. We definitely weren't in the strongest car, and we had the same thing. We were constantly on the back foot, had to just run our race and pray that some luck fell our way. And yeah, it was a similar thing tonight. Defensive skills is something that a lot of people kind of lack. I find in sim racing, they're not robust enough. So being able to practice that, and again, get the elbows out, and use the door every now and then, I think was a good indication to everyone how you should be able to race these cars and put on a good show.
Mate, finally, floor is all yours to give a thank you and a shout out. Obviously, a little bit of different colours here tonight with the primary partner for the GT3 Open Series of Motorsport Simworld. So I'll leave the thank yous to you.
Yeah, so big thanks to Simworld for hopping on. If anyone's in Melbourne and wanting to try out some standalone rigs, motion and static rigs, come down to Motorsport Simworld. We do a awesome job with running events there as well. So if anyone's keen, hit them up. And then also, big shout out to the PL boys for always putting on a fantastic show, and also you guys in the combox.
Mate, I think you've got a race to go back and watch, because that was an absolute barnstormer from up here in the commentary box. Enjoy your rest of your Sunday night, Damon, and I'm sure we'll see you out next time in the Motorsport Simworld GT3 Open Series. Thank you very much for your time.
Cheers, Scotty. Have a good one, yeah?
Yep, we'll do. Righto, ladies and gentlemen, that is it from the streets of Adelaide. They put it on the curbs and never fail to create at least some racing moments, some moments of drama, and some moments of ecstasy for some and disaster for others. A complete change of tack, though. The next time out, we're heading over to Elkhart Lake. Road America, America's national park of speed, from the autoextremist.com signage right there on board. 19th of April, we'll tick on over to Australian Eastern Standard Time as of next weekend. But the ups and downs of Elkhart Lake, the flowing corners, the carousel, long and challenging. It's a track that punishes tyres. It's a track that makes sure that you are on the anchors when you need to be. Tip-ins, the ability to crisscross, and navigating that kink on cold tyres. She's a big old challenge of a different sort at Road America is.
Oh, it certainly is. I call this place America's Monza. It has a lot of the same vibes. Huge heavy braking zones, which will definitely benefit Eli Donaldson, considering how strong he was on the brakes here. But as he mentioned, the Porsche tends to do a bit better on those slower tracks. So I'm wondering what cars we're going to be seeing come to the fore here. Regardless, I think Jet Saragi is going to back up his Adelaide performance here with a fantastic drive at Road America as well. But we'll have to wait a couple of weeks to see what happens there.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say a big thank you, like we already said throughout the broadcast, to everyone who puts it on from Premier Endurance League. That was a banger here tonight. We do really want to say a thank you to Ricky Provenzali and Leith McClymont, who do a lot of the job behind the board, and also the guys that are on board for race control as well. They had a fairly full docket tonight in terms of stuff to review. So a big shout out to everyone that actually does all the work behind the scenes to get things running. On behalf of our primary naming rights sponsor, Motorsport Simworld, the unparalleled racing experience that combines cutting-edge technology with a passion for motorsport. Rich history and commitment to excellence set them apart, and making them the go-to destination for racing enthusiasts in Melbourne. The safety car sponsor, the Sud Speed Safety Car, made several introductions to the racing circuit tonight, and they were decisive for Jet Saragi in race number 2, giving him the opportunity, as well as a shout out to Kiwi Graphics and Sim Racing and Focus for also being minor sponsors on board the series. For Reese Gardner and for myself, Scotty Rankin, this has been another round from the Premier Endurance League. We'll see you all next time out for Elkhart Late and Road America.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races, such as the Daytona 24, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR schedule, such as the Daytona 500. We have events from disciplines all across the racing world, from the Indianapolis 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events utilize iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against every driver taking part. And as every race progresses, watch and feel the track change with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iRacing.com/special-events.